Chapter 1723. Tens of thousands of attacks converged like a storm. Waves of extremely violent energy whirlpools were like galactic light shuttles that had gathered. In an instant, the space where the Reincarnation Emperor was at collapsed completely, as if he was being punished by the god of doomsday. However, at this moment, a monstrous aura suddenly rose into the sky, followed by a terrifying aura that originated from the bottom of an endless abyss. Rumble in the next instant, thunder and clouds exploded. A series of surging power impacts were released around the Reincarnation Emperor. Then, like a mountain torrent that had been silent for tens of thousands of years, the chaotic brilliance destroyed the heavens and the earth, and the powerful aftershocks pierced through the sky. Roar along with the remaining power of the frenzied hurricane, a shrill and strange whistling sound pierced everyone's eardrums. The invisible sound waves caused the space to distort and shake. The extremely cold and ferocious corpse energy soared into the sky and seeped into everyone's back. This aura is? Everyone was shocked. The great emperors frowned as well. Bang! Another loud explosion sounded out, and a fierce whirlwind swept across the sky above Tiandao City. Frost and dust filled the sky, and the chilly wind swayed. Under countless pairs of sharp pupils, a behemoth exuding an aura of death directly appeared in the smoke and dust. The 6 paths of reincarnation shall rule the sky for me. The reincarnation heart beast, the corpse god, the corpse god. The reincarnation emperor's aura was like that of a human emperor, and it made everyone's heart tremble. Roar, it was like the cry of a ghost or the howl of a demon. The bone-chilling wind caused the temperature of the entire Tiandao world to drop to freezing point. If the previous 7 heart beasts were shocking, then the appearance of this heart beast was terrifying. Corpse god, the heart beast of the reincarnation saint clan. Is this the legendary existence that represents slaughter? Such a ferocious aura, no heart beast can compare to it. Everyone was terrified, heart trembling. The corpse god. It was inevitable that the reincarnation emperor's heart beast would appear here. It was a huge monster made entirely of white bones, but its body was not withered, nor was it thin at all. Instead, it looked extremely sturdy. There were many sharp bone spurs on its back. The bone spurs extended outwards like sharp thorns. There were also barbs at the joints of his limbs. The malevolent head was like a demon from hell. Horrifying. And it was incomparably domineering. Dense dark hell corpse chi was constantly emitting from its body, and mysterious red ancient runes were swimming on its body like worms, making people's scalps go numb. Cosmos God Guji, you're disturbing me. Following that, the other party actually spoke in human language. His reverberating voice sounded a little irritable. Didn't I tell you not to summon me so easily? Up in the sky. The Reincarnation Emperor looked down at the Star Emperor, the Desolation Emperor, Chu Hen, and the others with an indifferent expression. As you can see, it's time to summon you, hee. The corpse god let out a creepy laugh. Its scarlet eyes swept across the star-refining dragon bat, the ominous star 9-winged centipede, the 8-headed wild snake, and the other heart beast. You're all here. Roar. Hiss. The star-refining dragon bat, the 8-headed wild snake, and the other heart beasts all let out chilling roars. After being silent for so long, it's time to taste some fresh blood, hee. Along with an ear-piercing howl, the corpse god suddenly erupted with a torrential blood energy. Following that, the corpse god's arms reached out toward the Desolation Emperor, the Star Emperor, and the others, releasing a powerful spatial rhythm from his bony palms. Crack, in an instant, sharp bone spikes actually grew out of thin air in the 9 heavens. Like a crazily spreading skeleton, the dense spikes extended to the surroundings, sweeping up a piercingly cold, murderous aura as they attacked the crowd. Get out of the way, don't get stabbed. The Star Emperor reminded loudly. The Desolation Emperor, Chu Hen, the Qi Kong Demon Monarch, and the others narrowed their eyes, but they didn't dare to be careless. They quickly dodged to the back according to the Star Emperor's instructions. Countless bone spurs formed a three-dimensional lightning net, shuttling through the sky and covering the 9 heavens. Facing the corpse god's large-scale attack, the star-refining dragon bat and the ominous star 9-winged centipede each spat out a terrifying energy shock wave that was like a meteorite. The earth-shattering shock wave continued to expand as it moved. Rumble, along with a violent explosion, the bone spikes released by the corpse goddess were completely shattered. Countless bone spurs shattered the sky, like countless wooden stakes floating in the void. However, before the bone spurs could scatter, the corpse god's crimson eyes flickered with a cold light. Then, he suddenly raised one of his arms. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next instant, the thousands of bone spurs shot out in all directions. The air was torn apart, and the countless bone spurs were like pear blossoms blotting out the sky, shuttling through the heavenly Tao world. The Star Emperor, the Desolation Emperor, Chu Hen, and the others all raised their true Yuan shields to block the bone spurs that were raining down on them. However, the bone thorn rains ranged directly past through the few people's battlefield and scattered into the surrounding chaotic battlefields. Many of the Alliance's combatants and the Six Paths World's experts were caught off guard and pierced through by the arrow-like bone spurs. Arg! A series of screams mixed with blood splattered all over the place. Every human or monster that was hit by the bone spurs had white bone spurs bursting out of their bodies, making them look like hedgehogs with sharp bone spurs growing all over their bodies. Then, they lost their minds amidst the mournful wails and started attacking the people around them. Meanwhile, the bodies of the people they attacked were also changing rapidly. His body uncontrollably grew long, narrow, and sharp bone spurs, and his eyes revealed a thick, fierce, and vicious aura. This is? The power of the corpse god's bone poison can directly turn those who have been poisoned into its puppets. Moreover, the puppet of the female worm will spread to other humans and demon beasts. Not distinguishing between friend and foe, simply vicious. Among the 10 heart beasts, the corpse god is the most vicious. Looking at the corpse god's subsidiary bodies that were charging around in the crowd without distinguishing between friend and foe, everyone felt chills running down their spines. However, the reincarnation monarch didn't seem to mind at all. He stood proudly in the void and looked at the Star Emperor, Desolation Emperor, and the others calmly. See. At the same time, the 8-headed serpent summoned by Desolation Emperor spat out 8 gray light beams at the corpse god. Swoosh, 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 as they moved, the 8 pillars of light condensed into 8 giant swords that slashed through the air. The dense great desolation power surrounded the swords and spun rapidly like light whirlpools. The murderous intent of the swords sent shivers down everyone's spines. However, the corpse god raised one of its arms and clenched its bony palm. Hua! A round wheel of white light suddenly appeared in front of its palm. The white wheel rotated vertically like a screen in the sky, and the 8 huge swords that contained the endless great desolation power struck the wheel screen in front of the corpse god. Bang! Bang! A deafening sound shook the heavens, and a shock wave swept through the air. Rings after rings of light cyclones swept across the void like astral winds, causing the space to cave in and collapse, twisting to the extreme. The corpse god's eyes turned cold, and a blinding white light shot out of its palm. The 8 huge swords that contained the great desolation power were shattered into powder. TSK. The corpse god switched between offense and defense in an instant. Even though it was facing 3 heart beasts of the same level, its aura wasn't suppressed at all. Instead, it was like the sun in the sky. Don't forget who's your boss. TSK, TSK. The corpse god let out a strange shriek. Everyone's expression changed again and again. Samsara was the leader of the 10 sacred clan. The corpse god was the leader of the 10 heart beasts. As soon as it appeared, the other heart beasts paled in comparison. However, this wasn't enough to make the sacred clan alliance afraid. It wasn't a reason to be timid. Especially with the addition of the monster region, it was even more impossible for them to retreat. "I'll deal with it." At this moment, the demon Tharch Chi Kong said coldly. "I'll help you," Chu Hen said. "No need. It's just a heart beast. I don't think it's a threat." After saying that, the demon Tharch Chi Kong released an overwhelming demonic aura. Roar! Amidst the overwhelming demonic aura, a huge black demonic shadow reached out its long and thin claws from behind the demon Tharch Chi Kong. Swish! Then, a pair of dark shadow wings spread out from the demon Tharch Chi Kang's back. Under countless shocked gazes, the black demonic shadow in the sky merged into the demon Tharch Chi Kang's body, which then turned into a huge black shadow. "Is that the demon Thearka's true form?" "Yes. My God, this is the first time I've seen the monster Thearka's true form. What is that?" Looking from afar, the demon Tharch Chi Kang's true form seemed a little illusory, like a cloud of fog hidden in the darkness. Claws and ferocious faces could be seen in the fog, but it felt unreal, like an indescribable dream. "Darkness. Nightmare." Mu Fei, the heavenly mystery palace lord, said word by word. Beside her, Yen Fushu narrowed his eyes, a hint of solemnity surging in his eyes. "Nightmare. The legendary existence that devoured dreams, real and fake at the same time, impossible to capture. Darkness. Nightmare. The demon Tharch Chi Kang's true form." A dark aura began to envelop everyone's heart. The demon Tharch Chi Kong, who had transformed into the darkness Nightmare, was like an evil creature from the netherworld. He dragged the thick black fog and pounced directly at the reincarnation Saint Clan's heart beast, the corpse deity. "Heh!" The corpse deity let out a strange, sharp whistle, as if he was a little excited. Boom! The corpse goddess and the dark nightmare clashed head-on like two meteors crashing into each other. Chaotic shockwaves surged in all directions, powerful corpse energy and dark light overturned heaven and earth, and the two colossal beings clashed with each other. With the demon Tharch Chi Kong restraining the corpse deity, the reincarnation emperor was once again surrounded by the star Tharch, the desolation emperor, and the others. "Universe God Guji, you're already alone and without help," the desolation emperor shouted coldly. The reincarnation emperor raised his eyes, which flickered with faint golden and purple light. "There's no need for that. Use whatever trump cards you have. There's no need to be fair to you." As soon as he finished speaking, the desolation emperor, the star Tharch, the star refining dragon bat, and the eight-headed desolate serpent directly stirred up a storm, pressing towards the reincarnation emperor. Clang! Inside and outside the heavenly Tao realm, it could be said that the world was turned upside down. A series of chaotic battles broke the earth and shook the sky. Apart from the main battle with the reincarnation emperor, the battles between the sky-burning emperor and the chaos emperor, as well as the abyss emperor and the devouring emperor, were also incomparably spectacular and intense. The heart beast of the sky-burning Saint Clan, the sky-splitting torch bull, was extremely ruthless. Its battle-axe arm burst out with heaven-splitting power. With a swing of the axe, the arc-shaped axe shadow that pierced through the sky was like a heaven-splitting divine radiance, as if it had opened up a huge ravine in the void. Even though the torch bull was violent, the lightning ancestral lion was in no way inferior to it. The latter's entire body was enveloped in boundless pillars of lightning, and he was like a god of lightning that emanated a destructive aura that shook the world. The battle between the torch bull and the ancestral lion turned the battlefield into a forbidden zone of death where lightning and fire fused. The collision between the desolation force and the sky-burning raging flames was even more powerful than the collision between a meteorite and a tsunami. The surging tide flattened the earth, and the scorching flames burned the sky. The sky-burning emperor and the chaos emperor's attacks were already extremely ruthless, without holding back. "Today, I will definitely slaughter you, old dog." The sky-burning emperor's eyes burned with the flames of hatred. The Chaos Emperor's face was as cold as ice. Humph, you don't have that ability. In comparison, although the battle between the Abyss Emperor and the Devouring Emperor wasn't as ruthless, it was definitely not harmonious. The heart beast of the Abyss Saint tribe, the boundless ghostly fiend, was like an ancient creature that floated in the vast universe. The tentacles that covered its body continuously attacked the heart beast of the Devouring Saint tribe, the heaven-devouring Tautai, from all angles. The heaven-devouring Tautai was also extremely ruthless. Although it didn't have 6 arms, it had 3 heads. Facing the boundless ghostly fiend's attack with its sharp claws and teeth, it didn't panic at all. Screech, suddenly, a cold light flashed across the boundless ghostly fiend's different-shaped eyes. In the crescent moon-shaped eyes, a cold white light suddenly burst out of it. Whoosh! The air was filled with a strong roar of frost. The cold white light was like a layer of snow that sprinkled on the body of the heaven-devouring Tautai. In an instant, the huge body of the heaven-devouring Tautai entered a petrified state at a speed visible to the naked eye. Starting from its body, then its limbs, and finally its hideous head. In the blink of an eye, the entire body of the heaven-devouring Tautai, except for its head, had turned into stone. Following that, the Sunluo ghostly lair's other round pupil, which was shaped like a full moon, once again released an extremely shocking aura of destruction. Immediately after, a black beam of light suddenly shot out from its full moon-shaped eye. Sizzle! The surface of the black beam of light seemed to be covered in a circle of dark electric patterns, which made wild noises in the air. The beam of light contained the threat of death, such as the deadly ray of death released by the Azura of Hell, instantly pierced through the void and shot toward the heaven-devouring Tautai. This attack seemed to have the power to destroy the world, break through the sun, moon, and stars. However, at this moment, the heaven-devouring Tautye's only head that hadn't been petrified raised. Then, its bloody mouth opened at an extremely exaggerated angle. What made one's scalp go numb was that countless pairs of sinister hands stretched out of the giant mouth. Then, countless Taoist hands stretched out like ghosts that blotted out the sky, one after another, grabbing at the incoming beam of death light. Bang! Bang! The rapid death light pillar swept up an endless amount of killing power and smashed the gloomy hands into pieces. As soon as the two collided, the pairs of hands turned into dust and dissipated. However, after smashing thousands of pairs of gloomy hands in succession, the momentum of the death light pillar rapidly weakened. Then, the densely packed black hands covered the beam of death light and forcibly dragged the beam of light, which contained tremendous destructive power, into its bloody mouth. Formless, chaotic air rippled out. Then, the heaven-devouring Tautai roared. Bang! With a loud bang, the circle of cold, white frost covering its body exploded like porcelain shards. The world trembled. Frost and dust swirled around the heaven-devouring Tautai, dancing in the hurricane. It vented its unparalleled, greedy, cruel, and evil energy. Everyone who witnessed this scene felt a chill run down their spines. As expected of the heaven-devouring Tautai, it can swallow all things. It can even swallow this kind of power. How terrifying! That's right. The 10 heart beasts are really too powerful. Not far away from the heaven-devouring Tautai and the eerie ghost Nether, the battle between the 9 Nether Emperor and the Devouring Emperor was also like a storm. "Are you still so stubborn?" said the 9 Nether Emperor coldly. The Devouring Emperor's eyes darkened. "I've already said, it's not my intention to stand against you all. I just hope that the human realm can be truly stabilized." Look at Universe God Guji's eyes. He can even do such a thing. If he becomes the lord of the Saint clan, the human realm will be destroyed by his hands," said the 9 Nether Emperor. The Devouring Emperor did not reply. The dark storm around him grew stronger and stronger. The huge devouring vortex was like a tornado, crushing the void in all directions. The war. It was getting more and more intense. As time passed, the battlefield in the Heaven Dao realm was cut into countless pieces. Flames, smoke, and blood flowed like rivers. The all-out slaughter was getting more and more intense. The Ten Saint Clan. The war of the human race. In addition to the countless monster beasts involved, the entire Six Paths world was thrown into an unprecedented upheaval. Severed limbs were scattered all over the place. Corpses were everywhere. The inside and outside of the Heaven Dao realm was quietly dyed into a blood-red Azura hell. Whether it was the Saint Clan Alliance or the Six Paths world, the armies of both sides were already in a killing frenzy. Swords swung down and blood splattered in the sky. Sabers slashed down and their arms went numb. Kill! Roar! The battle cries and the roars of the beasts merged together into a deafening war song. The ground had long since converged into small red rivers. Cruel, bloody, cruel and ruthless. The geniuses of the various saint clans fell one after another. The monstrous experts of the various factions fell into a pool of blood. From afar, the entire Heaven Dao realm was already shrouded in a dark red and thick aura of blood. Sigh. The sigh came from the Heavenly Mystery Palace Lord, Mu Fei. After this war, no matter who wins or loses, the human realm will suffer a great loss. Sigh and helplessness. Beside her, Yen Fushu also shook his head. There's nothing we can do about it. Where there are people, there will be war. The human heart is terrifying. The words "the human heart is the most terrifying" dimmed Mu Fei's eyes once again. In front of them, Yu Shinin, Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie, Sun Yuan, Li Kuan, and the other monstrous geniuses were once again continuing the Saint Clan convention that had just ended. Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, Long Xuanshuang, Qiu Xingyi, Mo Qingli, Wang Li, and the others were all bathed in blood. Long Qingyang, quickly retreat to Palace Lord Mu Fei, shouted Long Xuanshuang coldly as she looked at the bloodied and wounded Long Qingyang. However, Long Qingyang showed no signs of retreating. There's no need for that. Roar! As soon as he finished, 9 dragons appeared. Long Qingyang clapped his palms together and 9 ferocious dragons spread out in all directions. Along with the cracked ground, the Six Paths world's experts were torn into shreds by the swooping dragon. Indeed, there's no need. On the other side, Mu Feng turned into countless blurry afterimages in the air. It's rare for us to experience such a shocking battle. It's too shameful to sit outside and be a spectator. Swoosh, swoosh. Mu Feng moved like a shadow, moving as fast as lightning. Like a phantom, he shuttled through the crowd of enemies, the folding blades that grew out of his arms taking away the lives of his enemies. A blood-red world spread. Azura hell extended. At the same time, somewhere outside of the Heaven Dao world, a burly figure emitting an evil aura stepped into the blood-red battlefield. His entire body was shrouded in cold and dark chains. A pair of deep eyes that seemed to be flowing with 10,000-year-old frost. His aura was unique. Also human. Also demon. Miao Shu House. Chapter 1724. The increasingly intense battle between the sacred clans caused the entire heavenly law world to gradually sink into a blood-colored world. Corpses of humans and demonic beasts were piled up everywhere. As the flames of war spread, blood-colored rivers continuously seeped into the ground. Earth-shaking. Chaotic battle of heaven and earth. The battle between the heart beasts of the various sacred clans was about to explode the sky. On the most intense battlefield, the battle between the Reincarnation Emperor and the Star Emperor, the Huang Emperor, Chu Hen, and the others affected the rhythm of everyone's hearts. Boom! The dazzling star power bloomed like a rain of fireworks that illuminated the surroundings. The Star Emperor and the Huang Emperor fought the Reincarnation Emperor head-on, while Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu attacked from the side. The 8-headed desolate snake, the star-refining dragon bat, and the ominous star 9-winged centipede were ready to attack at any time. The battlefield where the few of them were fighting was filled with violent winds and furious clouds. Although they were outnumbered, the Reincarnation Emperor was not at a disadvantage, and was not suppressed in any aspect. In addition to his own 6 paths of reincarnation power, the eye techniques from the divine Eye Saint clan and the demon Eye Saint clan were also extremely proficient. However, with the help of the 3 heart beasts, they could directly advance in a compressed manner. Roar, screech, hiss. The ominous star 9-winged centipede, the star-refining dragon bat, and the 8-headed desolate snake directly released the terrifying power that they had long accumulated. Brilliant purple light intertwined in the sky, as if the intertwining divine light gathered to form a pointed cylindrical light pillar that shot down. The star-refining dragon bat's body was like a galactic whirlwind that shattered the void. The 8-headed desolate snake directly spat out 8 energy jade balls that contained the majestic power of desolation. The space trembled violently, and the fierce wind caused the heaven and earth to feel uneasy. The powerful attack from the 3 heart beasts formed a triangular shape and blasted towards the reincarnation emperor. "Follow!" the Star Emperor shouted sternly. The Huang Emperor nodded in agreement. On the other side, Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu did not hesitate at all. The few of them activated their powerful sacred body bloodline power and pressed towards the Samsara Emperor. However, in the face of the menacing crowd, the Reincarnation Emperor's holy and demonic eyes revealed a hint of frivolity. Whoosh! All of a sudden, the sound of a sharp weapon reverberated through the air. In the center of the storm, a beam of ring-shaped arc light suddenly swept out without any warning. Boom! Boom! Its might rose to the heavens and astonished the heavens. Under many astonished gazes, the circular arc of light was like a wheel of light that pierced through the nebulous storm, spreading in all directions and surging through the sky. As the sky above Tiandao City cracked, the star-refining dragon bat, the ominous star 9-winged centipede, and the 8-headed desolate snake's powerful attacks were instantly sliced apart. The desolate Emperor, Star Emperor, and the others were shocked. Before he could react, several crisscrossing arcs of light tore through space and attacked him. The aurora broke through the sky and pierced through the storm. The few of them trembled and were forced to retreat. Whoosh! The sonorous sound of the sword was like the plucking of a zither. Everyone's heart couldn't help but tighten. The pupils of the Star Emperor, Desolate Emperor, and the others who steadied themselves slightly shrank. In the void that was filled with frost and dust, the shapeless majestic sword aura caused the surrounding space to crack into thousands of cracks. In the Samsara Emperor's hand, there was suddenly a dazzling and strange divine sword. The divine sword's hilt was surrounded by 2 illusory dragon shadows, and a blue light beam condensed into the sword body. The sword body was made of light beams. There was no actual blade, but it was extremely sharp. That is? The surrounding people clenched their fists and their pupils shrank. Light beams converged into the sword body. The master of Tianji Palace, Mu Fei, squinted his eyes and muttered, "Number 1 on the divine weapon ranking, Heaven Calamity Sword, swish!" A clear and powerful sharpness seeped into everyone's skin and flesh. Heaven Calamity Sword. The number 1 peerless divine weapon on the divine weapon ranking. 1 sword to break the 6 paths, 1 sword to slay reincarnation. The divine sword that was condensed from light beams reflected in everyone's eyes, causing them to be in a trance. The Samsara Emperor, who was holding the Heaven Calamity Sword, was like a divine king who stood above the 9 heavens. This was the innate power of heaven. It was as if he was chosen by heaven, and no one could stop him. "I am the mandate of heaven, no one can stop me." Everyone trembled. Everyone was shocked. Even Star Emperor, Huang Emperor, and the rest felt the blood in their bodies become restless. Chu Hen's brows were also surging with solemnity. He clenched his fists tightly, and the power of the demon pupil holy physique and the power of the chaotic bloodline burned like 2 balls of flames. "If you are the mandate of heaven, there will never be a day of peace in this world. Whether there will be a day of peace or not, it is in my hands." The Samsara Emperor replied coldly. Suddenly, just as the 2 people's voices faded, An extremely strange power rhythmically surged out from Chu Hen's body without any warning. Everyone was stunned. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly. What was going on? Rumble. What followed was a raging gale, and the world was spinning. Suddenly, a doomsday storm that covered the entire world gathered in the sky above Tiandao City. It was like a huge millstone that wanted to grind the entire world into pieces. Buzz, the sky shook continuously, and along with a strong vibrating sound, countless blood-colored light beams sprinkled down from the void. The light beams intertwined, and like a projection, they gathered in the sky above the mountains outside Tiandao City, forming an extremely mysterious talisman array. In the middle of the talisman array, there was a hexagram pattern, and at the top of each corner, there were ancient and mysterious talismans swaying. That is, the demon race's talisman pattern. The blood-red hexagram array emitted an extremely dense evil aura. This was the aura of the demon race. Who is that person? Who? At the same time, everyone was surprised to find that on the mountain below the hexagram array, there was a tall and burly middle-aged figure. That person's body was surrounded by ice-cold chains. His body was exuding a strong demonic aura like that of the deep sea. It's him. Chu Hen frowned, and his face was full of surprise. Bai Qianyu, who was not far away, was also shocked. Why is he here? That person was none other than the demon race, Tuoba Sha. Under many shocked gazes, Tuoba Sha stood at the top of the mountain like a spear, his hands continuously forming all kinds of complicated seals. Buzz buzz, then, the hexagram array that floated in the void began to revolve slowly, and at the same time, red blood chi rose from the ground of the entire Six Paths world. Innumerable strands of blood-colored light rose into the air and converged into the hexagram demonic formation from all directions. It was a spectacular scene, like rivers flowing into the sea. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked and confused. What is he doing? Slaughter energy. He is gathering slaughter energy. Someone cried out in alarm. What? The war here has created too much killing and death chi. He is collecting the killing chi here. Why? What is the purpose of doing this? The only purpose is to open the path to the demonic realm. What? Quang Dang. In the sky, thunder cracked the sky. Before the crowd could react, the hexagram array that had absorbed a huge amount of killing chi suddenly burst out with a brighter and brighter blood light. Kaboom! The ear-piercing storm started to tear the sky above the Six Paths world, and the millstone that covered the void looked like it was the end of the world. Before the crowd could stop it, the space above the hexagram array was forcibly torn apart by a horrifying force. A huge space crack started to appear on the north and south sides of the array. Kaboom! What followed closely was a surging cold baleful chi. It was like a 10,000-year-old frost, a 1,000-year-old cold current, and an endless amount of evil chi. In an instant, endless blood chi patterns filled the sky. Not good, it's the chi of the demons. The crowd was shocked. Waff! Before they could finish their words, the blood storm in the sky exploded like a nebula, and the hexagram array opened like the gate of heaven. At the same time as the tsunami-like blood-red evil chi poured into the heavenly Tao world, black shadows that were like a swarm of locusts swarmed into the heavenly Tao world. Jia! Awa! Hua! The uncontrollable evil aura gushed out with the momentum of breaking a dam. Tens of thousands of monsters with red pupils surged out. Jia! The sharp and strange screeches were like the creepy laughter of millions of bats, making one's scalp tingle. Endless black shadows quickly shrouded the sky above everyone's heads. Demons! It was synonymous with madness, slaughter, and greed. They were bloodthirsty and cruel, torturing humans, devouring demonic beasts. Even their own companions would become their own food. The demons' entry had messed up the situation. The monarchs also stopped fighting. If the Ten-Race War was a disaster for the human realm, then the demons' invasion was definitely a catastrophe. As the hybrid demons wantonly invaded, Chu Hen's face turned extremely ugly. Bai Qianyu noticed that something was wrong with Chu Hen and hurriedly rushed to his side and asked with concern, "What's wrong?" However, Chu Hen did not answer. He furrowed his brows, and his purple eyes flashed with a scarlet light from time to time. I can't control it." Chu Hen clenched his teeth. Bai Qianyu's brows were tightly knitted together, and her beautiful eyes were rippling. Clang! Violent auras shook the heavens and earth. Looking at the blood-red azura battlefield before them, the ferocious demons in the sky were incomparably excited, their eyes overflowing with greed. "It's the smell of fresh blood. Jie! This is going to be a feast. Jie!" Then, Tuoba Shah clasped his palms together, and his eyes suddenly turned black without the scara. Rise! Rumble! The mountains and rivers split and the earth split open. Soon after, under countless astonished gazes, 2 huge sky pillar towers rose from the ground. The 2 towers exuded an endless ancient aura. The bodies of the towers were covered with mysterious blood-colored demonic symbols. Just then, Chu Hen let out a deep roar. A deep black light flashed in his eyes. With a swoosh, an item surrounded by blood-colored light flew out. It was a token. The design of the token was very strange. The pattern on it was narrow and long, and it looked like a human face. The more one stared at the slender corners of his eyes and the curled corners of his mouth, the more one felt their hair stand on end. The more one looked at him, the more one felt terrified. "That's the Qi Tian token?" Mu Fei, the master of the Heavenly Mystery Palace, exclaimed. "What? Qi Tian token?" Hearing the words Qi Tian token, the monarchs' faces turned pale. It was a supreme evil item that originated from the God-forbidden blood prison. It contained slaughter and destruction. He didn't have any time to ask why the Qi Tian Ling was on Chu Hen's body. The Qi Tian Ling directly flew between the 2 towers that Tuoba Shah had summoned. Buzz! The Qi Tian token hovering above the 2 towers released a blinding blood-colored light. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the Qi Tian token turned into a huge stone tablet that was placed on top of the 2 towers. Rumble! As if an ancient dark disk had descended, blood-colored vine-like light beams surrounded the stone pillars and shrouded the Qi Tian token. At this moment, an unprecedented demonic qi began to fill the entire 6 Paths world. The void of the 9 Paths world was really starting to collapse. An ominous premonition rose in everyone's hearts. Waff! Jie! Ghosts and monsters howled in grief, and demons laughed sinisterly. All kinds of weird sounds that made people's scalps go numb filled everyone's ears. Buzz! A dreamlike, illusory image suddenly appeared in the sky above the heavenly law world. Just like the Haichen Tower, real and fake, blood rained down and the sky darkened. Above the Qi Tian token was a blood-red world. Mountains of corpses and rivers of blood. At the end of the white skeletons was an ancient open-air palace. Above the palace, above the empty stone chair, the space cracked and storms gathered. Inside the huge whirlpool, a chilling air gushed out. It was a fear that seeped into the depths of one's flesh and blood. It was a shiver that penetrated into one's soul. At this moment, even Star Monarch, Huang Monarch, and the others' faces were pale. This air is... Could it be? The blood-colored light spread in all directions and an ancient battle song echoed in the world. Then, the overlapping sound invaded everyone's eardrums, causing their souls to tremble. God-forbidden blood prison. Your emperor is back. Chapter 1725. Godly forbidden blood prison. Your emperor is back. The blood-red light that filled the sky was like a tsunami spreading out in all directions. In an instant, it was as if the heaven and earth were filled with an ancient war song. The tens of millions of mantis demons laughed eerily and excitedly. All of the demon monarchs lowered their heads and muttered to themselves. Shudder! Fear! The horrifying aura that seeped into the deepest part of their souls was like a mountain slowly pressing down on them, causing their hearts to contract and pupils to dilate. It was as if their throats were being strangled by an invisible hand. The feeling of suffocation was so clear that it was terrifying. That is, Star Emperor, Desolation Emperor, Abysmal Emperor, Devouring Emperor and the others stopped their battle. Every one of them looked at the towering stone tablet that was transformed from the Chitian token in shock, as well as the massive blood-red shadow that was becoming clearer in the sky. This horrifying aura. To them, it was so familiar that it made them feel uneasy. "Quick, destroy the Chitian token!" Desolation Monarch suddenly shouted. Everyone's heart tightened. Just when many of them were about to take action, Star Monarch's solemn voice was heard. "It's too late. It's too late." It was as heavy as a hammer hitting on everyone's heartstrings. Buzz. The majestic momentum of the dark clouds stirred the entire heavenly Tao realm, and the endless blood-colored cyclone extended to several other realms. 2 towering towers supported the 9 heavens. The stone tablet that was transformed from the Chi-Tian token stood in the middle with a series of complicated ancient demon patterns around it, like a dark divine disk connected to the alternate realm gate. Quang Deng. Wind, thunder rage, frost change. Then, with a whoosh, a violent cyclone halo bloomed in all directions inside Chi Tianling, and thousands of light wings flickered in the sky. Above the 9 heavens, it was as if a dazzling blood-red lotus had exploded. Rumble. The earth trembled and the mountains and rivers cracked. Inside and outside the 6 Paths world, red light sources that contained endless killing aura shot up into the sky like comet. Tens of thousands of storms shrouded the heads of the people, and under the collapse of the apocalypse, an incomparably sharp giant scythe first reflected in the depths of everyone's pupils. The scythe seemed to have been soaked in blood for countless years, and every inch of it emitted an endless aura of death. Meanwhile, beside the scythe, a figure that shocked everyone's soul slowly emerged from the distorted and shattered void. It was like a dark nightmare that was gradually being suppressed. The heavens and the earth were dark, and even space seemed to have fallen into a state of stillness. In front of it, all living beings in the world were like lowly ants. Petty and low. Truly petty and lowly. Looking at the terrifying figure that was gradually becoming clearer, countless people felt their own insignificance. "In my name, the power of Chi Tian. With blood as a sacrifice, the evil god shall descend upon the world." The aura that caused layers of space to vibrate caused everyone's trembling hearts to sink to the bottom of the valley. Screech, in an instant, the man slowly opened his eyes. It was a pair of pupils that were as dark as the abyss, without any white. Looking at those black eyes, everyone felt as if their souls were about to be sucked into them. In those black eyes, they were filled with slaughter and destruction. "I am, the source of great misfortune, the lord of all evil. Godly forbidden blood prison, your emperor has returned." At that moment, the mantis demon's screams pierced through the sky. The 6 Paths world that was already soaked in slaughter became even more like hell on earth, with demons rampaging everywhere. "Evil! Evil God!" The devouring monarch uttered these words with a trembling voice. These 2 words were like a sharp sword that was pressed against everyone's throat. Evil God! The lord of the godly forbidden blood prison. The leader of the billions of mantis demons. 10,000 years ago, the evil god invaded the human realm and attempted to massacre all the human state. At that time, the Chaos God race's heavenly monarch led the various saint clans to defend against the mantis demons. With his invincible aura, he slayed the evil spirits and slayed the demons. In the end, he sent the evil god into the chaos abyss and suppressed him at the bottom of the abyss. However, as time passed, the world was impermanent. Now, the evil god tore apart the abyss seal and reappeared in the world. A catastrophe. An absolute catastrophe. Everyone present could feel the aura of an impending catastrophe. Why? How could he escape? Shock and bewilderment rose in everyone's hearts. On the other hand, Star Emperor, Desolate Emperor, and Abysmal Emperor were looking at the demon steel that was transformed from the Chitian token and to Obasha, who was standing under the six-pointed star demon formation. What a grand scheme! Heavenly Mystery Palace Master Mu Fei frowned deeply, and her expression was complicated. Yan Fushu and the others were shocked and confused as they looked at each other in confusion. The monarch's expressions changed almost the same as Mu Fei's. In the end, as the Tao rises 1 foot, the evil rises 10. It has already predicted this day. Looking at Tuoba Shah and the Chi Tian token, everyone came to a realization. Chu Hen's face turned pale. Did I release it? It's none of your business. Bai Qinyu shook her head slightly and said, the thing that released it was the slaughter chi that gathered here. Even if you weren't here, someone else would have brought the heaven-diverting token here, at this moment. Chu Hen understood that other than borrowing the evil god's power, the most important use of the Chi Tian token was to summon the evil god from the bottom of the abyss. In the past years, the Chi Tian token had been hiding in Chu Hen's body and controlled Chu Hen's inner demon, causing a large amount of slaughter. As it obtained the slaughter energy, it awakened the evil god that was sealed in the abyss. Back in Kuan City, the evil god had already awakened on the day he saved Tuoba Shah. The evil god was also waiting for an opportunity. Waiting for the moment when the world was filled with blood and slaughter, it would break through the shackles and reappear in the world. What now? Huang Monarch asked solemnly. Don't panic, the evil god has been sealed for tens of thousands of years. Its power must not have recovered to its peak. Star Monarch said. But Huang Monarch paused. One must know that the Sacred Clan Alliance and the Six Paths world were in an all-out war, and the godly Forbidden Blood prison came out at this time, causing everyone to be at the heart of the struggle. However, since the ancient times, the human race and the demon race were irreconcilable. Under such circumstances, no matter how unwilling they were, they had to stand on the same side and fight against the godly Forbidden Blood prison. However, just when the Sacred Clan Alliance was hesitating, the evil god's black pupils that were like abyssal whirlpools glanced at Reincarnation Monarch. Universe God Guji, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. The voice was soft and there was a hint of playfulness in it. Promise? What promise? Everyone was stunned and they looked at Reincarnation Monarch in confusion. Compared to any of the other monarchs, Reincarnation Monarch's emotions were the most stable. He was still as calm and composed as before, standing proudly in the void. Even though the Six Paths world was filled with blood and the evil god was pressing down like a mountain, Reincarnation Monarch's aura was still strong. What promise? Star Monarch clenched his fists and asked coldly. The evil god's lips curved into a sickle-like arc and he smiled at Reincarnation Monarch's calm face. Of course, after I help him get rid of the Heavenly Monarch. He promised to give me half of the human race's territory. Get rid of the Heavenly Monarch. Promise. Quang Deng. In an instant, it was as if a bolt of lightning had exploded in everyone's mind. What did you say? The monarchs' faces changed drastically. Even the Devouring Emperor, the Chaos Emperor and the Dragon Blood Emperor, who had fallen to the ground, looked at the Samsara Emperor in shock. The Storm Saint Clan, Rock Saint Clan, and the others were also shocked. Universe God Guji. You colluded with the demon race? You caused the death of the Heavenly Monarch? Yen Fushu roared. The other members of the Chaos race clenched their fists in anger. Then there were many retorts. Everyone, don't believe him. This demon is trying to sow discord. That's right. He just escaped from the abyss of chaos. He must be afraid that we will join forces against him. That's why he used such a despicable method to stir up trouble. The great emperors looked at one another and many doubts arose in their hearts. Back then, the celestial Dharch had mysteriously disappeared after he sealed the evil god. No one had even seen him. Now that they thought about it, it was indeed strange. Hee hee, Universe God Guji, looks like you've been hiding it well. I've stayed in the abyss of chaos for so long to get rid of the celestial Dharch. It's time for you to fulfill your promise. The evil god smirked. Everyone felt uneasy again. Shut your mouth. We won't believe you. Someone from the Reincarnation Saint clan roared. Don't try to slander the monarchs. We won't believe your one-sided story. That's right, unless you can show us proof. I have proof. Suddenly, at this moment, a cold female voice came from the direction of the Beast Tao world. Roar! What followed was a deafening roar of a furious beast. Then, accompanied by a fierce aura that shook the heavens, a violent giant ape covered in golden fur rushed into the natural law world with an earth-shattering momentum. It's the little monkey, on the other side, Yi Yao, Long Qingyang, and the others exclaimed in shock. Chu Hen was shocked as well. On the shoulder of the ape that the little monkey had turned into stood a teenage girl. She was none other than the disciple that Shifeng Zi had taken in, Qingshu. I am the proof. Qingshua's cold voice sounded again. She pointed at Reincarnation Monarch and said, I can prove that Universe God Guji worked with the blood prison to kill the celestial Dharch. Who are you? What nonsense are you spouting? Someone from the Six Paths world scolded. Humph, who do you think you are? However, Qingxue only looked at Reincarnation Monarch coldly in the face of everyone's doubts. In the process of the giant ape's rapid movement, frost suddenly fell on the ground, and an extremely cold current began to flow into the heavenly Tao world. Frost covered the ground and white snow danced in the air. Universe God Guji, do you still recognize who I am? Qingxue released an extraordinary aura that didn't match her age. She was like a witch spirit that came from the land of ice. Everywhere she went, she emitted a bone-chilling coldness. So cold. What a terrifying power of frost. There is only one person in this world who possesses such a strong power of ice. Could she be the one that disappeared a long time ago? Wang. Everyone's expression changed again and the monarch's eyes turned cold. It can't be wrong. She is the Lord of the North River, the spirit of the ice domain. Ice Monarch Divine King Wu Ji. Divine King Wu Ji. Chapter 1726. Qianqian. Divine King Wu Ji's latest chapter. Whoosh, the sky suddenly turned cold and frost rose. As the snowflakes danced in the air, the temperature inside and outside the Heavenlaw City dropped to freezing point. Even the river of blood on the ground was covered with a thick layer of ice. It can't be wrong. She's the Lord of the North River, the spirit of the snow region. Frost Empress. Frost Empress. The entire Heavenlaw world was in an uproar when they heard this name. Frost Empress is still alive? Didn't she disappear for thousands of years? What did she just say? She's the proof? Everyone looked at Qingxue in a different way. Chu Hen, Bai Qianyu, Mo Qingli, Long Qingyang and the rest were confused. They were shocked by this sudden scene. They were especially surprised. Qingxue, she's Frost Empress? Yi Yao looked at Long Xuanxuang, who was not far away. The latter's eyes were also filled with confusion. You look very different from before, the Star Emperor said in a deep voice. Everyone knew that Frost Empress was a peerless beauty that could cause the downfall of a nation. Although Qingxue was also beautiful, she looked like a teenage girl. It's all thanks to the Reincarnation Heavenly Emperor that we all look up to today. Qingxue said sarcastically as she looked at the Reincarnation Heavenly Emperor in disdain. If it wasn't for the fact that the Reincarnation Heavenly Emperor has been trying to kill me, I wouldn't have forcefully sealed my cultivation base and destroyed my physical body to preserve my saint's soul. After falling into a deep slumber for thousands of years, my saint's soul finally awakened with this body. Silence the witness? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Just what kind of grudge would force the Ice Empress to destroy her own physical body and attach her saint's soul to someone else's body? Why? The Huang Emperor asked. Qingxue sneered and looked at the reincarnation emperor indifferently. Because I know his secret? Everyone narrowed their eyes. He, the high and mighty sacred race emperor, was the one who opened the passage to the God-forbidden blood prison in the Chaos Devil world. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the surroundings gasped. Chaos Devil Domain. The world was no stranger to this name. Previously, Chu Hen, Qiu Xingyi, and the others participated in the Dragon-Python conflict, Holy War enlistment, in the Chaos Devil Domain. Back then, on the day the Holy War had ended, after Chu Hen had killed the invincible war god Mang Yuantu of the War God Palace, the hybrid demon army of the demon region had launched a small-scale attack. During the time when the Sky Emperor was around, the Chaos Devil Domain had been one of the main battlefields of the war between the human race and the demon domain. You said that the Reincarnation Emperor opened the passage to the godly forbidden blood prison? Nonsense, what proof do you have? Some people still didn't believe it. Immediately, some people retorted, I'm afraid you guys don't know, right? The Chaos Devil Domain was once prosperous and had many sects. Since the Chaos Devil Domain was very close to the Devil region, there were many sects guarding the Chaos Devil Domain. The two most powerful sects guarding the Chaos Devil Domain were the Ice Emperor and the Fortune Creation Great Emperor. That's right. If someone really opened the passage to the godly forbidden blood prison, the Ice Emperor and the Fortune Creation Great Emperor would be the first to discover it. Ice Emperor, Fortune Creation Great Emperor. These two great emperors of the human race, who were not part of the 10 Cardinal Saint clan, were once famous and domineering. However, after the battle with the godly forbidden blood prison, the Fortune Creation Great Emperor had died in the Chaos Devil Domain, and even the Ice Emperor had disappeared. Initially, they thought it was just a battle between the human race and the godly forbidden blood prison. Now, it seemed like that was not the case. The evil god's words were meant to sow discord. However, the Ice Empress' sudden appearance caused everyone to be thrown into disarray. Is this true? The devouring Great Emperor asked the Reincarnation Great Emperor. Humph! The burning heaven Great Emperor sneered disdainfully. Universe God Solitary G, I thought you were an ambitious person. I didn't expect you to be a bastard who colluded with the fiendish demons. You're not worthy of being the Great Emperor of the human race. You're not worthy of the name Reincarnation. Universe God Solitary G, you're not worthy of being the human king. Your crimes are unforgivable, the Star Emperor said angrily. Angry rebuke, disdain, scolding, and disbelief. Everyone's emotions became incomparably solemn. Especially in such a situation, the current atmosphere was indescribably complicated. However, the Reincarnation Great Emperor's emotions were still unusually calm. He was neither angry nor warm. He looked at the great emperors of the human race indifferently and said, "Everyone admits that I'm guilty, but no one can convict me of my crime." The Reincarnation Great Emperor's eyelids twitched as he said calmly with a condescending attitude, "Being weak is the original sin. Being weak was the original sin." There was no explanation. There was no rejection. There wasn't even the slightest fluctuation in his emotions. His reply to the crowd was merely a sentence, "Being weak is the original sin." In the Reincarnation Great Emperor's eyes, no one in the world could convict him of his crime. As such, being guilty was being innocent, and in the eyes of the strong, being innocent was also considered as guilty. Seems like you haven't replaced that man's position yet. Universe God Solitary G, you've disappointed me. The evil god's echoing voice seeped into the crowd's ears. With your capabilities, you shouldn't have done this. In response to the evil god's words, the Reincarnation Great Emperor raised his eyebrows coldly and replied indifferently, "As you can see, you will witness me controlling the heavenly Tao, ha 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 ha, I'm looking forward to it." The evil god laughed softly. An invisible sense of oppression constantly tightened the hearts of everyone present. No one expected that the evil god would descend into the Six Paths world in such a manner. Moreover, they also thought that there was an unknown dark deal between the evil god and the reincarnation great emperor. Universe God Solitary G, you're really treacherous. Today, it's either you die or I die. The great emperor's hearts were burning with endless flames of anger. At this moment, compared to the divine Forbidden Blood Prison's invasion, they hated the reincarnation great emperor more. Fine. Since we've already come to this stage, let's first get rid of you, the tumor of the human race, and then fight to the death with the divine Forbidden Blood Prison. Monarch Huang shouted angrily. Then, Star Monarch, Monarch Huang, and the others unleashed their powerful energy waves again. At the same time, the devouring Great Emperor, who was confronting 9 Nether Great Emperor, suddenly turned around and unleashed a torrential aura towards the reincarnation Great Emperor. Everyone in the 4 seats was startled. You? 9 Nether Great Emperor, Star Monarch, Monarch Huang, and the others were surprised. You want to betray us? Chaos Great Emperor said. Betray? The devouring Great Emperor sneered disdainfully. I've never submitted to you. The reason why I'm helping you is that I think Universe God Solitary G is the only one who can replace the Heavenly Monarch. Of course I can. The reincarnation Great Emperor replied calmly. Humph. The devouring Great Emperor shook his head and snorted, but I won't help those who collude with the demon race. It was just as the devouring Great Emperor had said. He had always maintained a neutral stance on everything, and the main reason why he had come here today was because of the human race's territory. The reincarnation Great Emperor had the ability to wield the Heavenly Emperor's token. That was the reason why the devouring Great Emperor stood on his side. However, humans and demons were irreconcilable. They colluded with the evil god to harm the Heavenly Monarch. This had crossed the devouring Great Emperor's bottom line. You will regret it. The reincarnation Great Emperor replied calmly. The moment you're related to the demon race, you're no longer worthy of the Saint Clan's title. The devouring Great Emperor was very determined. Well said. The burning sky Great Emperor agreed loudly. How can a person who will do anything for power be compared to the Heavenly Emperor? The devouring Great Emperor is right. This kind of person isn't worthy of our support. My Storm Saint Clan hereby announces that we're drawing a clear line with the Reincarnation Saint Clan. The same goes for the Imperial Beast Saint Clan. The Rock Saint Clan will never collude with the evil demons of the godly Forbidden Blood Prison. Hua! The devouring Great Emperor's change of heart had also awakened the other Saint Clans in the Six Paths world. The hatred between humans and demons had been accumulated for a long time. In an instant, the Reincarnation Saint Clan became the target of everyone. Humph! The Chaos Heavenly Emperor's eyes narrowed as he said with a cold expression, "A bunch of idiots. You are the stupid ones." The Great Star Emperor reprimanded sternly. He raised his hand and pointed at the demon god that was like a mountain that shrouded the sky and said, "In this world, there is nothing more stupid than making a deal with the demon race. You, cut the crap. Let's flatten the Heavenly Tao City first before fighting the demon race to the death." As soon as he finished, the burning sky Great Emperor's aura burst out and the sea of fire swirled like a tornado, shaking the heaven and earth. Mu, the heart beast, the sky-splitting candle bull, was also ferocious. Its axe arm was filled with the power to split the heavens as it slashed at the Antiquity Monarch and his heart beast, the lightning ancestral lion. Universe God Guji, you've been deserted by everyone. The Star Monarch shouted. The Desolation Monarch, the 9 Nether Monarch, the Devouring Great Emperor, and the heart beasts they summoned immediately surrounded the Reincarnation Monarch. In an instant, the sky above the Heavenly Tao world surged towards the Reincarnation Monarch. Facing the 5 monarchs, the Star Monarch, the Great Wilderness, the 9 Nether Monarch, the Devouring Great Emperor, and Chu Hen, the Reincarnation Monarch held the Heaven Calamity sword in his hand. However, the heart beasts summoned by the 5 monarchs all unleashed an aura that could shatter the space. The star-refining dragon bat's body shone with starlight, and the 3 spherical energy bodies around its body shone brightly. The 8-headed desolate serpent was cold, and everywhere it went, there was only desolation. The ominous star 9-winged serpent spread out its ice wings, and its body was covered in lightning. The ominous star ghostly serpent and the heaven-devouring Tau no longer targeted each other. Instead, they pressed towards the reincarnation monarch together with the other heart beasts. However, at this moment, an earth-shattering power suddenly gushed out from the body of the evil god. In order to end this earlier, I'll help you, obviously. This sentence was directed at the reincarnation monarch. Rumble, as soon as the words were spoken, the mountains in the vast 6 paths world cracked and the rivers flowed in reverse. Then, under countless horrified gazes, one after another, huge light pillars that looked like blood vines broke through the ground. The light pillars that emitted endless evil energy soared up and intertwined with each other, entangling the star-refining dragon bat, the ominous star 9-winged serpent, the 8-headed desolate serpent, the ominous star ghostly serpent, the heaven-devouring Tau, and the sky-splitting candle bull. Swoosh! The blood-red vines stretched out like a blood-soaked iron chain. Roar! Woo! Numerous fierce beasts roared and erupted with monstrous ferocious auras as they struggled to break free. However, the blood-red light pillars grew tighter and tighter, like a dragon python coiling around its body. Before anyone could react, the evil god raised his left arm unhurriedly, his sharp fingers forming a seal in front of him. Blood seal god, buzz! The heavens trembled violently, and the hearts of countless people present trembled as well. The blood-red vines that entangled the 6 heart beasts glowed with thousands of illusory lights. The lights extended out and formed a huge hexagram sealing array formation. Following that, all the heart beasts in the 6-pointed star sealing formation had their feet and bodies pierced by countless illusory light thorns. Numerous huge light thorns were like wooden stakes and iron nails, firmly imprisoning the heart beast that was sealed within. Meanwhile, the terrifying aura released by the heart beasts was restrained. They tried to break free but to no avail. The sky changed color and a storm tore through the sky. Everyone's expressions changed drastically as they looked at the 6-pointed star-black sealing arrays that had appeared in the sky above the Heaven Tao world. Even the great emperors were trembling from the bottom of their hearts. In an instant, the 6 heart beasts were sealed. Shock. Uncontrollable shock. The strength of the heretic god caused people to tremble in fear. Chapter 1727. Qianxian. The latest chapter of Wu Ji Divine King. 6 heart beasts. Sealed in an instant. The strength of the evil god had shocked everyone in the 6 paths world. Looking at the 6 enormous dark hexagram demon arrays that sealed the star-refining dragon bat, ominous star 9-winged centipede, 8-headed wild snake and the other heart beasts, everyone felt as if their hearts were trapped by a huge net. What was strength? That was it. Even though he had been suppressed in the abyss of chaos for countless years, the moment he appeared, the evil god announced to the world that this was the power of the ruler of the godly forbidden blood prison. The invisible and majestic pressure was like a mountain pressing down on one's heartstrings. Shock. Shock filled everyone's face. Reincarnation Monarch's eyes flashed with shock, but he soon calmed down and said, "Although it is not necessary, the result will not change, of course." The evil god smiled. His abyss-like black eyes emitted a charm that could captivate one's soul. "I just hope that this will end quickly. After you finish what you promised me, without a doubt." In the entire human territory, only the reincarnation emperor could converse with the evil god in such a calm and composed manner. This directly caused the other monarchs of the sacred clan alliance to feel their hearts explode. The 6 heart beasts that they summoned were all sealed, instantly losing a large part of their powerful support. Universe God Guji, are you really going to collude with the demon race? Star Monarch scolded angrily. Humph, Universe God Guji, you are playing with fire. Even if you took over the heavenly monarch order, you can't stop the demon race from devouring you, devouring monarch scolded. They could no longer ignore the evil god's terrifying display. However, reincarnation monarch still replied calmly, "Your ignorance is laughable and pitiful. Stop talking nonsense with him. He has already gone mad," Abyss monarch said coldly. "That's right, get rid of him first, then think of a way to deal with the evil god." Under such circumstances, the 10 races should have put aside their conflicts and united against the demon race's invasion. But Reincarnation Monarch did not have such a thought. The Sacred Race Alliance had no other choice. Immediately, the Great Star Emperor, Desolate Emperor, Devouring Great Emperor, and Abyss Great Emperor raised earth-shattering momentum and launched their attacks at the Reincarnation Great Emperor. Wherever the moon reaches, everything becomes the 9 underworlds. A pair of illusory transparent wings of light appeared behind the 9th Abyss Heavenly Emperor, and a beautiful crescent moon mark flickered between her brows. Buzz, after that, the 9 heavens and the earth suddenly darkened, and a bright and clear moon hung in the sky. In an instant, the space around the Reincarnation Emperor sank into the Netherworld Emperor's domain, breaking the seal of Great Wilderness. At the same time, the Desolate Emperor released a domineering and terrifying aura. The chi of Great Desolation was like a sandstorm that swept both inside and outside of Tiandao City. The wind and clouds surged, and the world trembled. The 4 great sovereigns rolled up their piercingly cold attacks and poured down like auroras. The Reincarnation Great Emperor held the Heavenly Calamity Sword, and his eyes, which were both sacred and demonic at the same time, were calm. The main battlefield erupted once again. The other battlefields didn't stop either. The 6 Paths World's chaotic war that had only been interrupted for a short while had erupted again. However, with the Devour Saint Clan, Imperial Beast Saint Clan, Storm Saint Clan, and the other Saint Clan's betrayal, the Reincarnation Saint Clan, Chaos Saint Clan, and Dragon Blood Saint Clan's forces became weaker. However, as the stench of blood grew thicker, the countless Mantis demon armies hovering above the 6 Paths world became extremely restless. Their sharp eyes were filled with bloodlust and greed. Hunger, bloodlust. After brewing for a long time, it was like an uncontrollable flood that poured down from the sky and covered the earth. Woo! Yeah! Hee, what an exciting new blood! The hunt has begun. Jia. The hunt had begun. The hunt had begun. In an instant, countless ferocious mantis demons swarmed down from the sky, slaughtering the humans in the heavenly Tao world. They didn't differentiate between friend and foe. The mantis demons were extremely cruel. Their claws were like blades, their teeth were like saws, and their claws were like hooks, slicing apart the human experts' chests and bodies. The broken limbs were torn apart. Blood splattered in the air. Damn it! The crowd was enraged. The experts of the Saint Clans were enraged. They drew their swords and sabers and slashed at the mantis demons. For a moment, the crimson human blood and the dark green demonic blood intertwined in the air, contrasting with each other. Kill! Those who invade the land of the human shall die. As the demon army swarmed into the 6 Paths world like a swarm of locusts, the entire 6 Paths world was plunged into chaos. Chaos. Absolute chaos. The battle between the 10 races. The battle between the humans and the mantis demons. The 3 forces clashed against each other in a disorderly manner. For a moment, the 6 Paths world was in chaos. Clan Master Mu Fei? Yen Fushu looked gravely at the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Mysteries Palace beside him as he watched the earth-shaking battle. The latter frowned and shouted, "Kill the mantis demons first!" Yes. The turrets on the flowing cloud warship shone brightly, and along with the dazzling runes, powerful energy waves gathered in the crystal on top of the turrets. 1. Xiao. A powerful spatial rhythm stacked up, and one after another, destructive beams of light shot out, piercing through the mantis demons one after another. Bang! Bang! The beams of light from the Tianji Palace's turrets were especially terrifying, and any mantis demon that was hit by them would explode into a dark green mist. Beam after beam of aurora shot straight into the sky like meteor arrows. Especially since the mantis demons were densely packed, it was quite effective to kill them like this. Yeah. The numerous ferocious demons wouldn't allow themselves to be beaten up. A large number of ferocious demons immediately turned their spearheads toward the mysterious Heavenly Palace's giant ship of flowing cloud. One after another, black figures with ferocious auras leaped onto the warship and attacked the strong totem masters of the Tianji Palace. "Stop them," Mu Fei said solemnly. Yan Fushu did not hesitate at all. He leaped into the air, and the bloodline power of the chaotic body surged out like wave. With a punch, he blasted a dozen mantis demons into pieces. Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, Qiu Xingyi, Li Wushang, and the others also retreated to Mu Fei's side to defend. In order to prevent the mantis demons from climbing onto the warship, they destroyed the turrets on it. The battle was chaotic, and blood splattered everywhere. As for the demon army's disruption, the evil god ignored them and allowed them to attack the Six Paths World's people. In comparison, the Saint Race Alliance's monarchs were clearly getting anxious. The rhythm of their attacks towards Reincarnation Monarch was also increasing. At this moment, Chu Hen did not join the battle against Reincarnation Monarch with the other four monarchs. He glanced at the 6 heart beasts sealed in the sky, and coldness surged out from his deep eyes. "Just the two of us will not be able to break the evil god's seal," Bai Qianyu said solemnly. Chu Hen nodded as he understood this point. Then, Chu Hen glanced at the other main battlefields. Monster Monarch Qi Kong and the Reincarnation Saint Race's Heart Beast, the Corpse God, were fighting fiercely. Monarch Qi Kong, who had turned into his true form, the Dark Nightmare, was like a demon god from the darkness. It was as if he had dragged the Corpse God into an illusion, perfectly restraining the Corpse God. However, the Corpse God was the leader of the 10 heart beasts, and his combat prowess was undeniable. Even though Monster Monarch Qi Kong had a certain advantage, it was negligible. On the other hand, after losing the help of his heart beast, the sky-shattering Torch Bull, Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven, was at a huge disadvantage. Primeval Monarch and his heart beast, the Lightning Ancestral Lion, were suppressing Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven. The latter would not be able to hold on for long. Soon after, Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu looked at each other. Their bewitching purple eyes and sacred golden eyes met. The two of them clearly understood each other's thoughts. "Do you know what to do?" asked Chu Hen. "Yes." Bai Qianyu nodded. Boom! At the same time, the primeval force and the scorching storm of flames suddenly surged between heaven and earth. It was supposed to be an evenly matched battle, but before Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven could stabilize his body, a terrifying silver lightning pillar that pierced through the 9 heavens struck down like a heavenly punishment. Clang! The divine lightning split the void and exploded in front of Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven. Suddenly, the myriad of lightning pillars were like a blossoming silver lotus, causing the 9 heavens to lose their color. A terrifying impact was directed at the Burning Sky Emperor, causing the latter's body to be covered in lightning as he was sent flying back. Endless wind and lightning surged, destroying the sky in all directions. "Humph, looks like it's about to end," Primeval Monarch Scorching Heaven sneered. "Dream on!" Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven roared, and at the same time, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Roar! Before Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven could stabilize his body, a ferocious colossus suddenly charged out from his flank. It stepped on lightning shadows, pierced through the layers of flames, and dived toward Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven. The endless destructive aura was like a lightning meteorite that pierced through the void. In particular, the horn on his forehead was extremely sharp, like a divine lightning blade that could cut through the stars and clouds. Chi-chi! The incomparably violent aura pierced everyone's eardrums, and the space around Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven distorted to the extreme. His pupils contracted, and his face was filled with panic. Goodbye. Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven seemed to be announcing the end of the battle. However, at this critical moment, an incomparably heavy explosion resounded. The lightning pillars that were whistling toward Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven were actually cut apart by an extremely sharp light blade. Rapid hurricanes tore through the sky, and the chaotic aftershocks shattered the void. Purple shadow wings circled around, and a huge destruction demon spirit donned in purple light armor suddenly appeared in front of the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion. It's Emperor Chu. Everyone was shocked. The destruction demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into held the life-killing divine halberd, like a peerless god of war, and withstood the furious attack of the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion for Grand Monarch Scorching Heaven. Then, the wind and rain came again, and purple flames and black flames rose from the left arm of the destruction demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into. The two different colors of light gathered to form a mysterious dragon-shaped pattern. A lifelike dragon shadow circled up and down his left arm. It looked like an ancient tattoo carved on his arm. Roar, then, a shocking dragon roar pierced through the mountains and rivers in all directions. A dark and cold light pierced through the clouds, and a huge dragon covered in black scales suddenly broke through the sky, sweeping up a terrifying ferocious power that could split the sky, and pounced toward the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion. It's the Black Dragon, the heart beast of the Dragon Bloodline's sacred clan. The identity of the Black Dragon had already been confirmed in the Beast Dao world. It was one of the heart beasts of the Ten Directions sacred clan. Although no one knew why the heart beast of the Dragon Bloodline sacred clan, which was killed by the Sky Emperor, had come back to life, and was even summoned by Chu Hen. Roar, without any time to be shocked, the black dragon's sharp claws tore through the sky, soared into the sky, and rushed in front of the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion. The latter opened its mouth wide and directly spewed out a shock wave in the shape of a lightning ball. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the heavens. The black dragon's sharp claws were like iron hooks as they struck the lightning ball. In an instant, a full burst of lightning tore through the sky. The area between the two seemed to explode into a giant chain of light that swam in the sky. The sky was filled with a rain of sparks and sparks flying in all directions. The black dragon's body seemed to be covered with a huge curtain of lightning net, and when the lightning net came into contact with its body, countless sparks exploded. Crack, then, the horn in the center of the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion's forehead once again released an extremely violent pillar of lightning. Like a heavenly punishment, it struck the black dragon's body solidly. Roar! The black dragon let out a shrill cry, and its entire body was immediately entangled by violent and terrifying arcs of lightning. The black dragon's huge body seemed to stiffen and tremble incessantly. This won't do. The black dragon's strength is far too lacking compared to its peak. Yes, it's no match for the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion at all. Everyone could see that the black dragon's strength was clearly weaker than the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion's. It could not even get close to the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion. However, at this moment, an earth-splitting aura suddenly rose above the black dragon. The Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into flashed in front of the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion like a proud god of war. Sizzle, purple arcs of lightning with the power to split the sky circled around the life-slaying halberd's blade. Chu Hen gripped the halberd with both arms, raised it, and hacked at the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion. The life-slaying halberd, the peerless godly weapon, ranked third on the godly weapon list. Like a purple pillar of lightning that could hold up the sky, it drew a crescent arc in the sky. This arc of light! How stunning! The life-slaying halberd's blade was like a divine blade that could split the galaxy, falling towards the Thunderbolt Ancestral Lion's head. Looking at this scene, everyone immediately understood that the black dragon's appearance was nothing more than a cover for Chu Hen. The real killer move was Chu-Hen, who was accumulating power behind it. Roar, sensing Chu-Hen's earth-shattering attack, the lightning ancestor lion was not afraid at all. It let out a low roar from its throat and actually raised its head high. It faced the attack head-on with the dazzling silver lightning horn at the center of its forehead. Sizzle, the horn on the thunderbolt ancestral lion's forehead also shone brilliantly. Its entire body flowed with silver divine light, as if it had gathered the most powerful lightning divine power in the world. Whether it could relieve the pressure on the burning sky emperor's side depended on this move. Under countless shocked gazes, the life-slaying halberd, which was surrounded by purple lightning, collided heavily with the silver lightning horn. Clang! Boom! The moment the two collided, the space in all directions suddenly cracked. Countless purple and silver lightning pillars collided into a dazzling net of electric arcs. The lightning pillars that blotted out the sky soared into the sky like the giant claws of a divine dragon tearing through the clouds. Everyone who witnessed this scene had their eyes reflected countless dazzling auroras. Under the dazzling rain of light, the Nirvana demon spirit that Chu-Hen had transformed into and the Thunderbolt ancestral lion were both knocked back. As the Thunderbolt ancestral lion's horn lost its light, the life-slaying halberd in Chu-Hen's hand was almost shaken out. The aura and light on their bodies surged wildly. Roar! Although the Thunderbolt ancestral lion's monstrous aura was rapidly unstable, it was still extremely powerful. The horn in the center of its forehead was also accumulating astonishing power again. It's still not enough. The heart beast is too powerful. It's impossible for Chu-Hen to defeat it in one strike. What a pity! If he attacked other places, it might be effective, but the Thunderbolt ancestral lion's horn is the most lethal weapon. Humph, with just this bit of ability, you want to defeat my race's heart beast? How naive and laughable. The primeval emperor also ridiculed with disdain. Rumble! However, just as the other party finished speaking, a unique energy aura that had never appeared before appeared in the higher regions of the void without any warning. Countless crisscrossing golden holy light seemed to form a complicated constellation pattern. At the same time, a pair of golden emperor divine eyes appeared in the beam of light. Clang! A deafening, heavy sound pierced through the sky. Along with the rapidly collapsing space, the space around the pair of golden divine eyes showed a dreamy and distorted state of water ripples. Then, like the opening of the gate of heaven, a huge devouring vortex was forcefully torn open. Rumble! The apocalypse collapsed. In the abysmal crack of the universe, a huge shadow hidden in the endless darkness quietly appeared in everyone's eyes. A chilling, heart-trembling aura once again enveloped the vast sky. Below the mysterious black shadow, Bai Qianyu was like a fairy with peerless beauty and transcendence. A golden silhouette of light surrounded her, especially her pair of golden eyes, with 9 revolving stars, noble and mysterious. That is, it can't be wrong. The heart beast of the holy-eyed Saint Clan. Oh my God, the 10 great heart beasts, all of them have appeared. Chapter 1728. 1 second to remember. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Rumble, thunderstorms gathered in the sky above. Above the rapidly collapsing void, a terrifying aura that caused people to tremble surged down. In the tear in space, the gigantic shadow was like a gigantic nightmare that came from the endless dark abyss. What's that? The heart beast of the holy-eyed Saint Clan. The 10 heart beasts have all appeared. Screech! A loud and passionate roar resounded through the 9 heavens, both inside and outside the heavenly law world. Whoosh! The wind howled in all directions. Bai Qianyu stood proudly under the sky, her long hair dancing in the wind. Her eyes were like stars, and a golden vortex swayed and rotated around her body. Her pair of golden eyes exuded the aura of a monarch, exuding a supreme aura of holiness. Under countless shocked gazes, the huge shadow behind Bai Qianyu revealed the silhouette of a falcon. It can't be wrong. Looking at the mysterious giant that appeared in the dark crack, everyone no longer had any doubts in their hearts. It's him. The 10th heart beast, the two-souled bird. Tremble. Absolute tremble. After the star-refining dragon bat, the sky-splitting torch bull, the lightning ancestral lion, the ominous ghostly nether, the heaven-devouring tau, the 8-headed desolate snake, the ominous star 9-winged centipede, the undead god, and the black dragon, the 10th heart beast, the two-souled bird, could not miss this earth-shattering battle. They had thought that the 10 heart beasts would not all be present. The appearance of the ominous star 9-winged centipede was shocking enough. The black dragon's resurrection was even more surprising. After all, compared to the other great emperors, Chu Hen was an extremely special existence. As for Bai Qianyu, no one dared to believe that she could also reach the level of summoning a heart beast. Oh my God! As expected of the daughter of the White Emperor and the Netherworld Heavenly Emperor, her natural talent is simply terrifying. But it seems that the two-souled bird can't be fully summoned. Everyone present was startled once more. However, they soon realized that the heart beast of the Holy I Saint clan had not been completely revealed. This scene seemed familiar. Back at the Holy Race Convention, when Chu Hen first summoned the heart beast of the demonic I Saint clan, it was the same scene. So that's how it is. The Heavenly Mystery Palace Master Mu Fei's eyes narrowed as he muttered softly. Screech. Before everyone could recover from their shock, the divine I Saint clan's heart beast in the large spatial crack suddenly released a boundless, monstrous aura. Within the trembling and distorted void, 4 pairs of strange eyes quietly appeared in the darkness. A frightening cold light shot out. Accompanied by an extremely powerful and terrifying aura, Bai Qianyu, who stood proudly in the sky, clasped her hands together and intertwined her fingers to form a seal. Dual souls, seamless seal, seamless seal. Buzz. In an instant, the 9 heavens trembled. The heart beast of the divine I Saint race, which was hidden in the depths of the abyssal chasm, erupted with an incomparably brilliant light. Countless light feathers fell like a meteor shower. Under Bai Qianyu's control, thousands of light feathers quickly converged to form an illusory giant blade that pierced through the sky. Golden light swirled in all directions in the 9 heavens. Under everyone's bewildered gazes, the giant blade that descended from the sky struck the primeval divine clan's heart beast, the lightning ancestor lion, in the middle of its spine at lightning speed. Screech, in the next instant, with the lightning ancestor lion as the center, the sky suddenly exploded into an incomparably majestic giant web. Sweeping beams of light shot out in all directions, and the extremely intimidating giant blade crashed into the lightning ancestor lion's body like a beam of light. The latter's body also sunk into an arc roar. The lightning ancestor lion, who had previously competed with Black Dragon and Chu Hen in terms of strength, was clearly somewhat exhausted. Before it could accumulate more power, it was struck by Bai Qianyu and the divine I Saint race's heart beast. The aura it emitted immediately became somewhat scattered. Then, 9 stars rotated in the depths of Bai Qianyu's sacred eyes. Whoosh! Along with an extraordinary majestic aura, Bai Qianyu's red lips moved slightly, and she said coldly, "Seal." Whoosh! Immediately after, the sky full of golden light patterns that bloomed around the lightning ancestor lion reversed, like a retracting light net. As it moved, the crisscrossing light feathers condensed into light arrows. Chi! Hiss! The light arrows returned to their origin and all pierced into the lightning ancestor lion's body. The latter's aura suddenly plummeted, and mysterious dazzling golden runes flowed all over its body. Ugh! The thunder ancestral lion then let out a laborious roar, and its mountain-like body fell powerlessly from the void. Finally, with a loud bang, it heavily smashed onto the ground of the heavenly Tao world. A large number of mountain ridges were smashed, and a few peaks even collapsed with a loud bang. Screech! At the same time, the devouring hole in the sky also began to rapidly close. As the storm converged, the divine I Saint Clan's heart beast once again floated further into the depths of darkness, until it completely disappeared. Countless people were a little dazed by what happened in an instant. From the unexpected return of Black Dragon, to the brief appearance of the two-souled bird, and finally to the lightning ancestor lion's defeat, it only took a few seconds for everything to happen. Layers of shock and surprise came one after another. Before anyone could even react, the lightning ancestor lion's power had already been sealed, and it fell to the ground. It was only now that everyone understood that Chu Hen and Black Dragon were just a cover, and the real trump card was the divine I Saint Clan's heart beast that Bai Qianyu had summoned. Although the two-souled bird did not completely descend into the heavenly Tao realm like the other heart beasts, it was ultimately not absent from the Ten-Clan War. Bai Qianyu's ability to do this was even more worthy of the White Emperor's daughter's reputation. Rumble. Seeing that the divine I Saint Clan's heart beast had been jointly sealed by Bai Qianyu and Chu Hen, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor was extremely furious. His eyes were crimson red as he stared furiously at Chu Hen, who had transformed into a destruction demon spirit. Damned thing, it's you who spoiled my plans again. I won't let you off today. With that, the great Emperor Expert's peak power gushed out like a tsunami, shaking the heavens and surging in all directions. Antiquity Jade. Buzz, an incomparably violent whirlwind whistled through the sky, and a scarlet jade ball containing a huge amount of energy condensed in front of the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor's palm. The incomparably pure energy was like 100 rivers converging in one place, constantly surging towards the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor's palm, and then compressed into the size of a house. The jade sphere energy body did not look very big, but it actually contained an extremely shocking amount of power. Antiquity rend. Then, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor shouted again. Buzz. Space twisted and collapsed, and the Antiquity Jade actually split into two, directly splitting into two. Then, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Antiquity Jades actually split again, and the number increased to 16. 16 Antiquity Jades, the aura was extremely terrifying. Rumble, the Antiquity Jades rotated rapidly, directly forming a death zone around the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor. The Antiquity Heavenly Emperor's face was ferocious, and his eyes surged with raging flames. It was as if he held the power of the heavens that could destroy the world. Disappear from me, boundless tyrannical flames filled the sky. The Antiquity Heavenly Emperor waved his hand, and the 16 Antiquity Jades that contained the power to destroy the world directly turned into a dazzling scarlet divine ring, striking towards Chu Hen. Chu Hen, be careful! Bai Qianyu anxiously cried out. The Burning Heaven Heavenly Emperor also shouted in a low voice. Chu Hen brat, don't take it head-on. However, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor, in his rage, was extremely ruthless. The 16 Antiquity Jades formed a ring of light that swept towards Chu Hen like a destructive storm. The scarlet whirlpool of light stunned the 9 heavens. The Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into did not have any time to dodge. The ring-shaped Antiquity Jade was like a huge chain of stars, and one of the Antiquity Jades smashed directly onto Chu Hen's body. Boom! The sky exploded, and scarlet light filled the sky. The terrifying impact landed heavily on the Nirvana demon spirit, and the colorful purple-winged armor on the surface of the Nirvana demon spirit splashed with light. The Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into trembled violently, and the purple flames and lightning that covered his body also scattered wantonly. Without waiting for Chu Hen to stabilize his body, the second Antiquity Jade smashed over. This Antiquity Jade struck the Nirvana demon spirit's chest, and the armor on its chest caved in. Let's see where you can run this time, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor shouted angrily. He raised his palm in the air, and an invisible spatial rhythm extended out. A powerful controlling force surged, controlling the remaining Antiquity Jades to fly towards Chu Hen. Boom! Bam! Because Chu Hen had used all his strength to exchange an attack with the Thunder Ancestor Lion, at the same time that the Thunder Ancestor Lion's accumulated power was dispersed, Chu Hen's own new power was also in a half-damaged state. Moreover, the bloodline limit of the Antiquity Sacred Body was known as the strongest explosive power among the 10 great sacred clans. The sudden attack caused no one to be able to react in time. One after another, the Antiquity Jades that contained a terrifying power struck Chu Hen's body. Pung! A deafening explosion sounded out. The Nirvana demon spirit that had withstood the attacks of around 10 Antiquity Jades was shattered into pieces, and exploded into fragments of light that filled the sky. In the sky above the heavenly Tao world, circle after circle of scarlet light waves spread across the vast sky. The aftermath of the chaotic storm overturned the 9 heavens. The moment the Nirvana demon spirit was destroyed, Chu Hen was directly exposed to the air. Without giving him too much time to react, the remaining Antiquity Jades once again smashed down on his head. Bang! The violent tremor was like the collision of thunder and mountains. Chu Hen's body shook violently, and his entire body was sent flying by the terrifying impact that was comparable to a meteorite. Wah! In the process of flying back, Chu Hen spat out a mouthful of blood. Die! The Antiquity Heavenly Emperor already had a cold and strange smile on his face. After saying that, the wind and rain that had been stirred up rose up. Stop, your opponent is me. The Burning Heaven Emperor hurriedly stepped forward to intercept. However, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor had already decided to kill Chu Hen, so how could he care about the Burning Heaven Emperor? Humph, after I kill him, I'll get rid of you. The Antiquity Heavenly Emperor fiercely overflowed, and an earth-shattering power crushed down. On the other side, Bai Qianyu's pretty face slightly changed, and the 9 stars in the depths of her eyes rotated. Space, replace, screech. An invisible and powerful rhythm surged out from her eyes, and circles of ripples seemed to appear in the air. The space around Chu Hen appeared to be distorted in an illusory manner. And, just as Bai Qianyu was about to teleport Chu Hen out of the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor's attack range, Bai Qianyu felt a cold and ruthless chill. This unknown mysterious power actually blocked her space conversion technique. What's going on? Bai Qianyu was shocked. Her eyes quickly moved to the area behind Chu Hen, only to see that in that direction, a giant monument created by Qi Tianling stood there. Like a divine dark disk erected between heaven and earth, the aura released by Qi Tianling was like a deep-sea cold current. How could this be? Bai Qianyu was a little panicked. At the same time, the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor had already chased up to Chu Hen, and once again raised a huge palm to suppress him. Bang! The palm containing endless power of the Antiquity Heavenly Emperor once again hit Chu Hen's body. Chu Hen, whose qi and blood were already surging, suddenly felt as if his internal organs had been displaced, and his whole body was numb and painful. Chu Hen secretly complained. The Antiquity Heavenly Emperor, this old dog, really didn't hold back at all. If it weren't for the fact that he had 2 great bloodlines, he would definitely die under this series of attacks. Enduring the sharp pain, Chu Hen tried his best to control his body. However, under the continuous violent impact, the huge inertia directly caused Chu Hen to fly backward. Even in the process of moving, Chu Hen vaguely felt that his retreating trajectory was being pulled off course by some invisible force. This aura is, suddenly, Chu Hen's heart was startled. He turned his head slightly and saw that there was a huge, evil stone tablet standing behind him. Boom! Completely without a chance to defend, Chu Hen's back heavily hit the giant monument transformed by Qi Tianling. The violent heavy blow carried a shocking impact. The moment the two collided, Qi Tianling's divine dark disk suddenly burst out a dazzling blood-red light. The ancient blood-red patterns that lingered around the 2 stone pillars also glowed with a strange energy rhythm. Then, Qi Tianling was covered in red light vines, and thousands of rays of light flowed like lightning, surging towards Chu Hen's body from all directions. Chu Hen's eyes were wide open, and his whole body seemed to be soaked in a spring of blood. Bai Qianyu, Burning Sky Emperor, Yan Fushu, Mu Fei, Long Qingyang, and the others were even more shocked. Chu Hen? Big Brother Chu Hen? At this moment, billions of mysterious blood-red runes spread across the sky, and Chu Hen's whole body seemed to be stuck on the surface of the monument, unable to move. Everyone was shocked and confused. Even the great monarchs were shocked. What happened? Floating under the sky, the eyes of the evil god that were as black as ink showed a touch of surprise. Haha, I see. After saying that, the evil god held the giant blood-red scythe and waved it backhand. Swoosh! In an instant, a sky-piercing arc cut across the sky, rolling up a biting cold power of destruction, and slashed at Chu Hen. Not good. Everyone was shocked. However, who could block the attack of the evil god? The deadly sky-piercing arc cut through the void all the way to the front of Chu Hen. But at this moment, the stone monument transformed by Qi Tianling burst out endless light like a star. Then, an incomparably heavy and ear-piercing noise resounded. The moment the blood-colored curved blade fell, a circle of brilliant light exploded and overturned the world in all directions. The mountains and rivers collapsed, and the peaks were all flattened. The chaotic power flowed wantonly, and Chu Hen's aura completely disappeared. Chapter 1729. Boom! The mountains and rivers split, and the peaks became flat. With Qi Tianling as the center, a violent shockwave that was like a star exploding spread out in all directions. An incomparably heavy and shocking explosion shook everyone's eardrums. As the evil god swung down that huge curved light blade, the surrounding mountains collapsed layer by layer. Thousands of light shadows spread out like beautiful tassels flying in the sky. Ancient peaks were flattened and cut off one after another. The ground around Qi Tianling's giant tower was like a giant hole with petals that had bloomed. What a terrifying power! As they gazed at the distorted and collapsed space and the rapidly expanding earth, everyone's hearts trembled without end. Dust and stones filled the sky, and the lights swirled like shadows. Star Emperor, Huang Emperor, Abyss Emperor, and the others all widened their eyes, and their expressions changed. Bai Qianyu, Long Xuanxuang, Yi Yao, Mu Fei, and the others all turned pale, and their eyes were filled with deep shock. At this moment, Chu Hen's aura suddenly disappeared without a trace. A thick and fierce aura of death spread out. Looking from afar, one could see a long and narrow blade mark engraved on the huge stone tablet that Qi Tianling had transformed into. That blade mark directly ran diagonally through the top and bottom of the tablet, and was embedded more than 10 meters deep. There was no doubt. The power that erupted just now was absolutely shocking. However, what was even more shocking was that Chu Hen, who was firmly attached to Qi Tianling's tablet just a second ago, had disappeared without a trace. Everyone present was shocked beyond words. Chu Hen. Bai Qianyu's golden eyes were like ripples, and his heart was filled with deep sorrow. Everyone trembled. Everyone was shocked. The great sadness was like a river wave going against the current, hitting the hearts of countless people from the sacred clan alliance. Yan Fushu, Li Wushang, Rao Filwan, and the others were in disbelief. Space itself seemed to have become sluggish. The young man's figure that had disappeared was like thousands of cobwebs entangling everyone's hearts, blocking their breathing. Big Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao's eyes immediately turned red and she gritted her teeth. The antiquity heavenly emperor, who had been chasing after Chu Hen, sneered. Humph, not even dregs will be left. Very suitable for you. Not even dregs were left. Annihilation? Hearing the primordial heavenly emperor's arrogant laughter, everyone felt their blood boil. I am going to start a massacre today. Mu Feng emitted an ear-piercing howl, following which a majestic demonic aura surged. A brilliant golden light erupted from his body. Mu Feng's eyes turned blood-red. The blades on his arms transformed into flowing shadows as he charged into the midst of the Yimo and the enemy. He transformed into a harvesting machine as he cut up the bodies of his enemies. Big brother Chuhen, I want to avenge you. Hot tears welled up in Yi Yao's eyes. The yin and yang qi in her body flowed like a pair of shadow wings, releasing a powerful aura. The terrifying palm force that was released smashed dozens of Yimo around the flowing cloud arc into pieces. Long Qingyang, Yen Fushu, Li Kuan, and the others' aura became increasingly cold. Their already high killing intent rose exponentially. To the people of the Sacred Race Alliance, life and death seemed to be insignificant. Killing began to dominate everything. The Abyss Heavenly Emperor, the Star Emperor, the Huang Emperor, and the Devouring Emperor exchanged glances. They did not reveal much emotion, but their eyes were filled with endless frost. Everyone's attacks on the Samsara Heavenly Emperor became fiercer and fiercer. War. It was becoming more and more intense. In the void filled with dust, Bai Qianyu could not help but be in a trance. Then, her 9-star golden eyes stared coldly in the direction of the evil god. However, the evil god's expression had a thought-provoking meaning. Haha, interesting. I was used by that couple, the evil god muttered to himself with a faint smile. Suddenly, a domineering palm force suddenly attacked Bai Qianyu. Bai Qianyu, who was in a trance, did not react in time. At this moment, a slender figure with colorful shadow wings hurriedly pulled Bai Qianyu away. Wake up, this is not like you. Emo Qingli's voice rang in the other party's ears. One of Emo Qingli's eyes was red and the other gold. The red color was her red pupils, while the golden pupils had 9 stars revolving in them. Not far from the two, the Chaos Heavenly Emperor was overbearing, his eyes filled with killing intent. Humph, here comes another evil creature. At the same time, the Burning Sky Emperor also quickly moved over. Old dog, I'm going to kill you. The Burning Sky Emperor raised a scorching wave of air and attacked the other party. Just in time, let's see who's going to die. The Chaos Heavenly Emperor also went berserk and once again engaged in a fierce battle with the Burning Sky Emperor. Cheer up, Chu Hen is not dead yet, Emo Qingli suddenly said. Hearing this, Bai Qianyu's delicate body trembled slightly, looking at the other party in shock. Emo Qingli nodded affirmatively. I shared the power of the Demon Eye's bloodline with him before, so I can still feel his presence. Although it is extremely weak, I am sure that he has not completely disappeared. Clang. Hurricanes gathered and thunder shrouded. At this moment, Chu Hen seemed to have fallen into an endless space-time vortex. A particularly strong pulling force surrounded his entire body, and Chu Hen could not even open his eyes. He felt like a butterfly facing a terrifying storm and trapped in a deep-sea whirlpool. Then, the space around Chu Hen continued to crack, constantly separating, constantly shattering, like layers of mirrors being shattered, along with millions and millions of ice crystal fragments. Chu Hen was like a tiny speck of dust, colliding into the vast and indistinct starry sky. Everywhere was distorted chaos. Heaven and earth were illusory galaxies. In the distant sky, there seemed to be a mysterious space-time wormhole, like a tunnel that swallowed all things, crushing the sun, moon, and stars. Chu Hen no longer knew whether he was moving, or the surrounding space was moving. And at this moment, a huge dark devouring hole came from afar and shrouded Chu Hen. In the depths of the devouring hole, light flashed, spiritual patterns intertwined, and the interweaving space turbulence was like a giant net. Illusory distortion. Like layers of ripples on the surface of the water, circles of light collided with each other. The darkness covered and pressed down like a wave. Hua! With a sudden trembling sound, Chu Hen was once again drawn into another plane of existence. Abyss. Chaos. An endless abyss, bottomless, like a limitless dark river in the deep sea. Chaos in all directions, boundless and illusory, like a dream that could not be awakened, floating in the sea of people. Hazy. Hazy. When Chu Hen opened his eyes, what came into view was an incomparably spectacular, imposing, majestic, and ancient city platform. The wide and huge steps were like a passage to the throne. The stone pillars on both sides were neatly erected, connected to the dark and cold iron chains in the middle. What was even more amazing was that this city platform stood alone in this chaos, like a ruin left here by the gods. Chu Hen was stunned. With many doubts in his mind, he stepped on the steps in front of him step by step. The scene zoomed out. Chu Hen's figure was so small, like a speck of dust in the vast galaxy. When Chu Hen stepped on the city platform, what came into view was an even more magnificent Tao platform. On both sides of the Tao platform, there were huge ancient stone statues. The stone statues were of different shapes and appearances. Some were human, some were demon beasts, and some were ferocious ghosts. And, in the center of the Tao platform, there was a broken giant monument. The giant monument was tens of thousands of feet tall, and carved on it were ancient characters. Large iron chains extended from the inside of the monument, like a seal to trap some extremely evil being. However, there were a few broken iron chains on the ground of the Tao platform. It was obvious that the one who was trapped here had broken free and escaped. Could this be the place where the evil god was sealed? Chu Hen's expression suddenly changed. The words "Chaos Abyss" appeared in his mind. There was no mistake. Chu Hen's eyes darkened. He could clearly feel the extremely evil aura left behind by the evil god. This is the Chaos Abyss. Why did I come here? Chu Hen's face was full of bewilderment. Suddenly, at this moment, a strange spatial rhythm came from not far behind him. Startled, Chu Hen suddenly turned around. Who is it? Buzz, what came into view were two balls of soft light. Under the dim light, the two balls of soft light looked dreamy and illusory. In an instant, Chu Hen's heart inexplicably trembled for no reason. Under his nervous gaze, the two balls of soft light gradually elongated and slowly transformed into two figures. Long time no see. Hunger. Chapter 1730. Qianqian. Qianqian, Divine King Wu Ji's latest chapter. Long time no see. Chaos. Abyss. The ancient city tower was like an ancient ruin floating in a corner of the vast galaxy. Under the dim light, two dreamlike lights and shadows gradually elongated into two hazy and indistinct human figures. Accompanied by a warm and magnetic Chu Hen's heart suddenly trembled. His eyes widened and his pupils contracted rapidly. His eyes involuntarily welled up with warmth. Under Chu Hen's incomparably astonished and moved gaze, the figures and facial features of the two figures became clear from their blurry state. It was a man and a woman. The man had an imposing appearance, sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His angular outline was like a sculpture, and he exuded an innate, extraordinary air. The woman had shapely eyebrows and almond-shaped eyes. She also had a peerless appearance. The two of them had smiles in their eyes as they looked at Chu Hen in front of them. It was a smile of pampering, a smile that was filled with gratification, and also a smile that contained pride. We've finally waited for you to grow up, the woman said with a smile. She looked at Chu Hen as if she was looking at the most precious treasure in the world. Chu Hen's face was full of shock. He was already somewhat speechless. Father, mother, thud. The moment he finished speaking, Chu Hen's knees fell to the ground, and hot tears gushed out of the corners of his eyes. Father, mother, Chu Hen greets the two of you. As for the memories of his father, Chu Chintian, and mother, Li Jixia, Chu Hen only had the fragmented fragments he obtained from the martial sex, Wheel of Time. Even though there were only bits and pieces of memories, Chu Hen could still clearly feel the love they had for him from a long time ago. In this world, there was a kind of fetters that could never be severed. There was also a kind of expectation that would always be hopeful. Looking at Chu Hen, whose face was soaked with hot tears, Chu Chentian and Li Jixia smiled and shook their heads. Father, Mother, I'm sorry. I've caused you to live such a rough and tumble life the moment you were born. Chu Rantian said somewhat guiltily. Chu Hen hurriedly shook his head. I'm already satisfied to be able to see the two of you again. Yeah. We're very satisfied to see you grow up safely again. Li Jixia lifted her beautiful eyes and looked at Chu Rantian. Then, she said with slight regret, it would be even better if we could hug our hen. Chu Rantian continued to smile. However, Chu Hen frowned and looked at the two of them in confusion. Why not? After saying that, Chu Hen stood up and was about to step forward to hug his parents. However, to everyone's surprise, as soon as his hands touched his parents, his palms directly passed through their bodies. Chu Hen's expression changed. Why is it like this? Father, Mother, what are you doing? Chu Rantian shook his head slightly and said, Hen, what you're seeing right now is the Saint Soul's clone that we've left here. Our main bodies have gone to another place. Saint Soul's clone? Another place? Chu Hen's arm trembled uncontrollably. Deep sorrow surged in his eyes. Could it be the two of you? Chu Rantian continued to shake his head. His gentle smile did not lose the domineering aura of a ruler. Don't be afraid. Things aren't as bad as you think. Your mother and I have been waiting for you here. We have many things that we want to tell you personally. Chu Hen clenched his fists tightly and calmed his restless emotions. Then, he nodded solemnly. I also have many things that I want to ask the two of you. You've already been to the misty sky, right? Chu Rantian asked. Yes. Chu Hen agreed. I've also obtained the Great Way scripture that you left for me, Father. Yes. I knew you'd find your way there. Chu Rantian glanced sideways at Li Jixia and said, Back then, when the Demon Eye Saint clan and the Chaos clan met with a drastic change, your mother was severely injured. I had no choice but to escape into the ethereal heaven with her. Then, we entered the Chaos abyss through the plane passage created by the collapse of the ethereal heaven. This is the place? Chu Hen asked. Yes, this is the Chaos abyss. It's also the place where the Heavenly Emperor sealed the heretic god back then. Chu Rantian confirmed. Why did you come here? To find something? Yes. Chu Rantian nodded slightly and looked at Chu Hen solemnly. Something that can activate the Chaos Divine Body. Activate? Chaos Divine Body? Hearing the two words, Divine Body, Chu Hen's heartstrings could not help but lightly tremble again. What's that? Primal Chaos Emperor's origin power. Chu Chentian said a term that Chu Hen had never heard of before. He continued to explain, Henner, do you know why the primal chaos gods declined so quickly back then? For the past 10,000 years, no one was able to reach the level of the Heavenly Emperor. The main reason wasn't because they weren't talented enough, but because the bloodline limit of the Chaos Divine Body had yet to be activated. Chu Hen frowned slightly. He was still shocked in his heart. Chu Rantian continued, Unfortunately, after the Heavenly Emperor fought the heretic god, the Heavenly Emperor didn't have time to leave the Chaos Emperor's origin energy in the clan. That's why the Chaos gods continued to decline. Then how did you discover this secret, Father? Chu Hen asked casually. What did I leave for you in the misty sky? Chu Rantian asked. Chu Hen paused, then answered, The scripture of the Great Way and the fragment of the divine Tao stone. Could it be? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Chu Rantian smiled approvingly. That's right, it's the divine Tao stone. The divine Tao stone belongs to the Heavenly Emperor? Yes. Not only did the divine Tao stone belong to the Heavenly Emperor, but it's also an ancient divine item ranked above the divine weapon rankings. The battle between the Heavenly Emperor and the heretic god was earth-shattering and devastating. The great Tao God stone was also destroyed in that battle, and many of its fragments were scattered all over the world. I found a portion of the great Tao God stone and sensed the existence of the primal Chaos Emperor's origin energy, and discovered the secret of the primal chaos god clan. Chu Rantian continued to explain to Chu Hen. It was precisely because of the lack of primal chaos Tharch origin energy that the primal chaos body could not complete its evolution and activation. The upper limit of the divine body's strength had always been limited, and the primal chaos god race had rapidly declined. In the end, they had fallen far behind the 10 great saint tribes. Later on, Chu Rantian discovered the secret of the divine Tao stone and used the trace of the Chaos Emperor's origin energy in the stone fragment to activate a portion of his divine body's strength. This attracted the attention of the various sacred tribes. But that was also why the Samsara saint tribe tried to kill him. Chu Hen was surprised to hear Chu Rantian's words. He had a portion of the divine Tao stone's fragment on him. However, Chu Hen didn't sense the existence of the Chaos Emperor's origin energy from it. Chu Rantian noticed Chu Hen's confusion as well. The divine Tao stone's fragments that were left outside contained an extremely weak Chaos Emperor's origin energy. Add to that the fact that they've been left outside for too long, and the Emperor's origin energy hidden within them has pretty much dissipated by itself. The main part of the divine Tao stone that contains an enormous amount of Emperor's origin energy is right here. Right here. Chu Hen could not help but clench his fists tightly. His gaze seemed to be moved as he turned to look at the Tao platform behind him. The majestic Tao platform was like the central fortress of this mysterious city. Many ancient stone statues stood by its sides. Atop the Tao platform was a dark monument thousands of meters tall, like a heavenly pillar that stretched into the depths of the Milky Way. Huge, ice-cold chains extended from the stone tablet, as if they were divine iron that sealed the darkness and evil. Is this the main part of the divine Tao stone? That's right. Chu Rantian nodded. Back then, the heavenly monarch used the remaining part of the divine Tao stone to suppress the evil god in the abyss of chaos, the divine Tao stone, an ancient divine item that stood above the god weapon ranking. Its power was extraordinary, capable of stabilizing yin and yang, suppressing evil and evil. It could manipulate the universe and shift the stars. As he stared at the towering stone, Chu Hen felt an indescribably mysterious aura engulfing him like an invisible net. The main body of the divine Tao stone seemed to contain a mysterious power that made one's heart palpitate. Just the main part of the divine Tao stone was enough to suppress the evil god for tens of thousands of years. If it was the complete divine Tao stone, the evil god wouldn't be able to escape even if he was immensely powerful. However, while the heavenly monarch was strong, the evil god was just as strong. In the end, the emperor of the godly forbidden blood prison managed to escape. "Oh right, father, mother, why am I here?" Chu Hen suddenly thought of the intense war that was still going on in the Six Paths world. Moreover, he remembered that he was still attached to the Chitian token. Then, with a flash of light, he was dragged into the abyss of chaos. Chu Lentian nodded slightly and exchanged glances with Zhili Zhixia. "This is all thanks to the evil god, oh!" The evil god used the Chitian token to open the passage to the outside world. "I used the reverse teleportation power to summon you here." "I see." Chu Hen was amazed. Although he did not know how Chu Lentian had managed to do this, his respect and admiration for his father had increased by a few notches. "Hen mother has something to ask you," Li Zhixia suddenly said. "Yes, mother, tell me." Chu Hen turned to his mother. Li Zhixia raised her eyebrows slightly and said with a smile in her eyes, "Hen, are you married?" Chapter 1731. "Are you married, Hen?" Chu Hen was stunned by Li Zhixia's sudden question. "She's really my mother." Chu Hen couldn't help laughing. "Not yet, really?" Li Zhixia responded and didn't continue asking. On the other hand, Chu Rantian smiled. "I told you that Henner shouldn't be married yet. But Henner, you need to put in a bit more effort. When I was your age, I already managed to woo your mother." Chu Rantian raised his eyebrows with a hint of pride. Father! Chu Hen was speechless. The atmosphere had changed a little too quickly. But then, Chu Hen opened his mouth and said, "Although I haven't gotten married yet, the two of you will soon become grandfathers and grandmothers." Chu Rantian and Li Zhixiao were stunned when they heard that. Really? Li Zhixiao's eyes lit up. Yes. Chu Hen nodded in agreement. Chu Yuni is the name of my and Mengchang's child, Mengchang? Which family is she from? Mother, Mengchang is your good sister, the daughter of abysmal Emperor Chu Hen's words surprised and delighted Chu Rantian and his wife again. She's Sister Gu Yu's daughter? Li Zhixiao looked incredulous and delighted at the same time. It's really God's will. It seems that Sister Gu Yu didn't break her promise. Break my promise? Chu Hen was puzzled. What promise? It turns out that you still don't know. Li Zhixiao said with a smile in her eyes, when I was pregnant with you, I made an agreement with Sister Gu Yu. If I gave birth to a boy, you and her daughter would have a child marriage. Chu Hen smiled. He also found it incredible. He didn't expect such a thing. At this moment, Chu Rantian said with a puzzled expression, "Isn't Abysmal Emperor's daughter called Bai Qianyu? Qianyu? Mengchang?" Li Zhixiao was also stunned when she heard that. Yes. Sister Gu Yu and Emperor Bai's daughter is indeed called Bai Qianyu. Chu Hen was a little surprised that his parents knew of the existence of Bai Qianyu. One must know that the relationship between Bai Qianyu, the ninth Nether Emperor, and the White Emperor had never been made public. Even Bai Qianyu herself did not know who her birth mother was. However, Li Zhixiao knew so clearly. It showed that her relationship with Abysmal Emperor was indeed extraordinary. It was no wonder that the ninth Nether Emperor was stuck between the demonic Eye Sacred clan and the divine Eye Sacred clan. So you guys arranged a marriage for me and Qianyu. Chu Hen rubbed his nose a little uncomfortably. His smile was a little awkward and a little naive. Seeing that Chu Hen didn't know how to answer, Chu Rantian and Li Zhixiao unconsciously noticed a trace of fishy in it. Henner, could it be that you and Bai Qianyu also? Chu Rantian probed. Hen, did you and Bai Qianyu? Chu Rantian asked tentatively. Well. Chu Rantian couldn't help but exclaim, then burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, Hen, I take back what I said. You don't have to work hard. You're much better than me. Li Zhixiao glared at Chu Rantian, then asked Chu Hen, Hen, Sister Gu Yu didn't do anything to you, did she? Chu Rantian's smile faded. Indeed. With Abysmal Emperor's ruthlessness, didn't she kill you with a single slap? Chu Hen was speechless. More or less. Anyway, I was quite afraid of her the first time we met. Maybe she didn't beat me to death for the sake of you too. Pfft. Li Zhixiao was amused. Chu Rantian laughed heartily. Ha 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 ha, come, tell father and mother, how did you get together? With that, Chu Rantian pulled Chu Hen's wrist with his almost transparent hand and sat down on the ground. Although they were both Saint Soul avatars and couldn't physically touch each other, Chu Hen could still feel warmth in his heart. This scene was something that Chu Hen had anticipated countless times in his heart. At this moment, he was willing to put aside everything in the outside world and accompany the two who gave him life. I met Mengchang in a small country in the Saint Star dynasty. It was like the beginning of many stories. Living in this world, one always felt that the world was very small. Two people who thought they were strangers later found out that they were related. Maybe it was a good relationship. Maybe it was an ill-fated relationship. People called this miraculous connection fate. In the abyss of chaos, the ancient city tower was like a ruin left by ancient gods. Cheerful laughter could be heard from time to time on the empty city tower. However, in the outside world, the flames of war had already filled the entire Six Paths world. The war between the 10 Directions Saint Clan. The war between the monsters and the Saint Clan. The war between the demon race and the human race. The all-out war turned the entire Six Paths world into a battlefield of carnage. Blood rained down like rain. Corpses piled up like fortresses. Severed limbs tumbled about in the river of blood. The blood of the human experts splattered into the air, and the poisonous green liquid of the mantis demons. Slaughter, destruction, blood, greed. All of the negative emotions made one immersed in the slaughter. The flowing cloud arc floated in the air like a meteorite floating in the sky. Countless hybrid demons and ferocious beasts pounced onto the gigantic ship. It was as if locusts were raining down from the heavens and the earth. Countless black shadows leapt up and down. Boom! Under the rain of blood and slaughter, the crowd unleashed their killing intent and released a terrifying aura. Inside and outside the Six Paths world, in the abyss of the valley, at the bottom of the stream, on the peak of the mountain, in between the ridges and in the Heaven Dao city, a series of terrifying powers clashed with each other, creating a raging hurricane. In the main battlefield of the Heaven Dao world, the battle between the monarchs turned the world upside down and the 9 heavens on the verge of splitting apart. The clash of the 10 directions Saint Clan's bloodline power caused the earth to explode and the thick earth to expand like blooming flower petals. In comparison, the current chaos abyss seemed exceptionally peaceful. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect so many interesting things to happen to you after so many years. Chu Rantian's hearty laughter filled Chu Hen's heart with an indescribable warmth. It was as if everything he experienced all these years was worth it. Chu Rantian smiled. On the other hand, Li Jixua's eyes were filled with heartache. Although Chu Hen took out and shared the happy things that happened to him, for Chu Hen to be able to reach this step today, the bitterness that he had suffered must be much more than the sweetness that he had obtained. It was as if the 3 of them had the same thought. The joyous atmosphere gradually calmed down. Chu Hen's eyes reddened and he smiled at his parents. As much as I hate to part with you two, I'm going out now. My friends, my brothers, my family, and the people I love deeply are still going through a battle of life and death in the Six Paths world. Chu Rantian and Li Jixia were smiling as well. They didn't show too much sadness or reluctance because they knew that the more sentimental they were, the harder it would be for Chu Hen to part with them. Hen, before we go out, I have something for you, said Chu Rantian. Chu Hen understood. His gaze turned to the great Dao Divine stone main body giant monument that stood in the center of the Dao platform. Let's go, said Chu Rantian. Chu Hen turned around to look at his parents, then nodded his head. Then, the 3 of them stood up. Accompanied by Chu Rantian and Li Jixia, Chu Hen slowly walked to the center of the Dao platform. Then, a cold light flashed across Chu Lenshin's eyes. He gently flicked the fingers of his right hand. Swoosh! A star-like ball of light flew out from his fingertip. The star-like light drew a bright arc in the air and flew toward the giant stone tablet at the center of the Dao platform. Buzz! In an instant, the originally lifeless and cold stone tablet suddenly seemed to have activated an ancient restriction. Streaks of mysterious and obscure light patterns suddenly flowed on the surface of the tablet. The light grew brighter and brighter. Gradually, it grew more and more beautiful. As the spatial rhythm grew stronger, Chu Hen felt the ground beneath his feet quaking uneasily. Gotcha! With the black stone tablet as the center, the ground quickly cracked open with intersecting ancient runes. Fwa! Then, a huge and dazzling net of light spread out from the center of the Dao platform. Rays of light weaved through each other. Boom! A series of heavy explosions sounded and the inner surface of the Dao platform began to crumble. Rumble! Rocks of all sizes broke free from gravity and floated into the air. Turbulent air currents formed spiraling pillars of wind that shot into the sky. The enormous city platform seemed to be at the center of a cosmic vortex. Everything around it, including the chaotic region above it, was a stunning sight. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dazzling rays of light intertwined with the main body of the divine Dao stone. At this time, Chu Hen's violet palace began to ripple with astonishing power. Chu Hen's body fiercely trembled. With a hua, sound, a dazzling light exploded in front of him. Chu Hen only felt an enormous amount of energy rushing out from his body. Then, within that ball of light, a huge black stone tablet suddenly appeared. It was a fragment of the divine Tao stone. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows and his face was filled with seriousness. Bang! The fragment of the divine Tao stone that had flown out of Chu Hen's violet palace fell toward the giant stone tablet as if it had been pulled by an invisible force. The broken edges and corners of the two were actually embedded together in a perfect fit. Whoosh! A beam of light moved, and thousands of light beams flowed into all the cracks on the great path divine stone. What was even more peculiar was that the tiny fragments that had been scattered in every corner of the world seemed to have been summoned. They turned into countless specks of light and gathered here. Buzz! More and more powerful energy ripples filled the sky. The city platform beneath Chu Hen's feet began to show signs of disintegration. Under Chu Hen's shocked gaze, the complete divine Tao stone gradually took shape. Fwa! In the blink of an eye, an ancient stone tablet towering for tens of thousands of feet stood in front of Chu Hen, Chu Chintian, and Li Jixia. Mysterious ancient runes crisscrossed around it. Chu Hen's pupils faintly shrunk, only to see that the bright runes interweave into a golden hexagram pattern. Divine light swam within the hexagram. The entire body of the divine stone of the Great Path floated with a vast and rich golden spirit chi. The mysterious spirit chi was like the origin of all things, the essence of the sun, moon, and stars. It made one's heart palpitate. Is that the origin power of a Chaos Emperor? Chu Hen clenched his hands into fists. His heart raced. The origin power of a Chaos Emperor. It was the origin power of a Chaos Divine Body. Chu Hen looked back at his parents, his expression incomparably conflicted. Chu Chintian merely nodded with a smile. Go. This go also signified the impending parting. Chu Hen clenched his teeth, his eyes reddening. Will we meet again in the future? Chu Chintian smiled. Of course. He exchanged another look with his wife. Hen-er, the fate between us father and son is not over yet. I understand. Chu Hen was gratified. Hen-er, you must take care. Li Jixia said gently, her voice choked. We look forward to seeing you again. Chu Hen's tears flowed, but he smiled. All right. Go. Many people are still waiting for you outside, Chu Chintian said. Chu Hen nodded firmly. He turned around and took to the air, transforming into a beam of light that shot toward the top of the divine Tao stone. As he moved, endless streams of golden Chaos Emperor origin power wrapped around Chu Hen like burning flames. In a split second, it was as if Chu Hen was bathed in a pure and holy divine radiance. Around him flowed gorgeous light and shadow. The moment the primal chaos sovereign source energy entered his body, Chu Hen felt his blood boil. Every inch of his tendons, every inch of his flesh, felt as if they were being struck by a tyrannical electric current. The power of the primal chaos bloodline began to circulate uncontrollably. Chu Hen's entire Zhenfu was like a reservoir, greedily accepting this supreme ancient source energy. Golden flames formed circles of coiling dragons that traced Chu Hen's back to the top of the divine Tao stone. It was a spectacular sight, like a resplendent divine pillar in the endless galaxy. Gazing at Chu Hen's back, Li Jixia and Chu Chintian's illusory faces were filled with indescribable emotion and relief. I don't feel any regrets now that I can see Hen-er grow up safely with my own eyes, Li Jixia murmured. The corner of Chu Chintian's mouth twitched, but he smiled. Although he'd successfully found the Chaos Emperor origin power when he first came to the Abyss of Chaos, he hadn't returned to Chu Hen's side in order to save the heavily injured Li Jixia. This was a regret for both of them. However, Chu Chintian didn't regret it. He'd always believed that his son would never be mediocre in the world. I really want to stay a little longer, Li Jixia said softly. Chu Chintian smiled and shook his head. Don't worry. We'll meet again, just like how we believed we could meet again in the first place. Surrounded by thousands of golden spirals of light, Chu Hen stepped onto the top of the divine Tao stone like an emperor. Then, he stood proudly at the top of the divine Tao stone and looked down at the chaos world. All the stars in the world revolved. Endless galactic light whirlpools enveloped Chu Hen's body like a cosmic storm. Rumble, boundless chaos emperor origin power flowed through the divine Tao stone and into Chu Hen's body. Countless dazzling wings of light unfurled from Chu Hen's body. Clang, a thunderstorm tore through the sky above the abyss of chaos. Billions of golden lightning bolts converged on Chu Hen's body. The primal chaos sky was rapidly collapsing. Terrifying power tore the heavens and earth apart. Every inch of dazzling lightning that contained great power endlessly strengthened Chu Hen's flesh and blood. Chu Hen was like an ancient witch spirit standing under heavenly punishment, devouring the divine might of the Chaos Emperor origin power without restraint. Boom! Time passed minute by minute, second by second. After an unknown amount of time, an ear-piercing boom rang out. The top of the great path divine stone exploded with endless light. The vast divine ring of light spread out in all directions, crushing the chaotic void. Standing on the divine Tao stone, Chu Hen was at the center of the billions of golden lightning bolt. The moment he opened his eyes, a peerless divine might that seemed to control the universe poured out. Buzz! A powerful spatial rhythm overlap. In the sky behind Chu Hen, a black figure towering over the chaos void appeared like a demon god descending to the mortal realm. This was a powerful aura. An incomparably powerful aura. Standing on top of the divine stone of the great Tao, Chu Hen looked down. The city tower had long since vanished. Only the divine stone of the great Tao hovered alone in the vast abyss of chaos. His parents, Chu Rantian and Li Jixia, had vanished without a trace at some point. After a brief moment of melancholy, Chu Hen's eyes flashed coldly. He clenched his fist. Boom! A giant black hole appeared in the sky above the Tempest Nebula. Chaotic power rippled out like exploding stars, breaking the heavens with one hand, stirring up chaos with a flick of a finger. The 10 most powerful holy bodies ruled the world. Who dared to compete with them? The Chaos Divine Body. Return. Chapter 1732. 1 second to remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. 6 Paths World. It could be said that the heavens were collapsing and the earth was collapsing. The blossoming of slaughter was like a flower blooming at dawn, breathtaking and dazzling, striking and shocking. Smoke beacons rose and the beacons changed. The wind and clouds raged, and the common people cried. Plunder! Wail! Blood watered the soil and seeped into the earth, as if the entire world had been dyed red. The demon beasts tore open the chests of human warriors with their sharp claws and gnawed on their internal organs. Red blood gushed out of their sharp teeth, making them look extremely greedy. The sharp blades of the human experts chopped off the heads of the hybrid demons and cut their bodies into pieces. The stench of blood filled the air like poison. Roar, in the void of the 9 heavens, the star-refining dragon bat, the 8-headed wild snake, the ominous star 9-winged centipede, and the other heart beasts were still trapped in the seals created by the evil god. Even though the evil god had not participated in the war between the 10 clans from the beginning to the end, its existence was like a huge mountain pressing down on everyone, making it difficult for them to breathe. This was especially true for 9 underworlds: Stellar Union, God Eye, Demon Eye, Great Wilderness, Devourer, Heavenly Mysteries Palace, and other forces of the Sacred Clans Alliance. The pressure that they had to bear was infinitely magnified. Even if they passed the Reincarnation Emperor, there was still the evil god standing in their way. However, things had come to this. There was no turning back. Having come this far, the members of the Sacred Race Alliance could only fight to the death. Hee. Wow. The godly Forbidden Blood Prison's army of ferocious fiends blotted out the sky and blotted out the earth, while vast and mighty black fiend shadows flew in the sky above the natural law realm. Their huge advantage in numbers and their bloodthirsty, greedy nature made them inhumane. Not only did the death of their companions not cause any change in their emotions, some Yimo would even devour the bodies of their companions. As the battle heated up, the hybrid demon army clearly had the upper hand. It wasn't just the human powerhouses. Even the demonic beast army became more and more enraged when faced with these ferocious beasts. Roar! Suddenly, right at this moment, a ferocious ape roar that shook the heavens and the earth resounded in all directions. Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and Xiao Shaowan, who were fighting a bloody battle, were shocked. Looking over, they saw hundreds of hybrid demons devouring a golden-furred giant ape. The gigantic ape let out a furious roar. The fierce demon's sharp claws were like hooks embedded in its flesh, firmly hanging on its body. Even if the giant ape tried to shake them off, those ferocious devils would quickly pounce on it like fleas. The sharp claws and teeth left long and narrow bloody marks on the golden ape's body. Piece after piece of flesh was torn from the giant ape's body. It could be said that many ants could bite an elephant to death. The giant ape grew increasingly furious as the many ferocious demons gnawed at it, but there was nothing it could do. Little monkey? Yi Yao and the others were both shocked and angry. These shady scum. Long Qingyang, Xiao Shaowan, and the others' eyes were bloodshot. Go help it, Long Xuanshuang said coldly as she tried to rush towards the golden ape. However, the ferocious demons were like a swarm of locusts, and with their abilities, it was already difficult for them to stabilize their own position. There was no way they could help the others. However, at this moment the Ice Empress, Qingxue, who had come with the little monkey, was hovering in the air with a calm expression. She was very calm as she watched the giant ape being surrounded by the ferocious demons. Everyone could not help but frown at this sight. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, an incomparably cold ice whirlwind rose up around Qingxue's body. Subsequently, the nail of her left thumb lightly drew across her index finger. Immediately, a drop of blood with traces of gold on it floated out from the tip of Qingxue's finger. The drop of blood contained a strange frosty aura. As light as a feather, it floated through the dense horde of demons and finally landed between the golden ape's eyebrows. In an instant, the golden ape's eyes suddenly exploded with a dazzling light, accompanied by an extremely violent, surging aura. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the ground around the golden ape collapsed layer by layer. The wind blew and the clouds scud. Roar! A furious and domineering roar shook the heavens and the earth. The golden ape angrily hammered the ground with both arms, and a circle of light rippled out in all directions like a storm. All the ferocious demons hanging on the giant ape were crushed by the terrifying impact. The cracks on the ground extended out like a deep spider web. Looking from afar, the monstrous rage emitted by the giant golden ape multiplied. Under the shocked gazes of many, the muscles on both sides of the golden ape's shoulders moved, and then two more ferocious heads grew out of them. Beneath the two heads were two pairs of sturdy arms that seemed to contain a tremendous amount of strength. Clang! The sound of thunder shook the heavens, and the golden ape was like an unparalleled god-fiend, releasing an unparalleled aura of destruction. 3 heads and 6 arms? A lesser ancient ape demon. How can this be? There's such an ancient ferocious beast in this world? It's not strange. After all, even the god of evil has appeared. After all, even the god of evil had appeared. In comparison, it was indeed not strange that the little monkey's true form was a lesser ancient ape demon. For the people gathered in the heavenly Tao realm today, the successive changes had made them feel a little numb. All they could do was swing their sabers and kill. Boom! The lesser ancient ape demon was a powerful demon beast with an extremely ancient bloodline. Back then, when the little monkey was by Chu Hen's side, everyone had guessed his identity. Although they were unable to come to a conclusion, they were not too surprised by it. After all, the little monkey had once displayed a very shocking explosive strength. Roar. In its true form, the lesser ancient ape demon was extremely ferocious. It was like another heart beast, venting its monstrous aura. With 3 heads and 6 arms, it looked in all directions. All the ferocious demons that fell into its hands were forcefully torn in 2 or had their heads twisted off. Dark green demon blood splattered freely like venom. Countless people were still frightened as they watched the golden ape display its invincible might. Looks like the Ice Empress's Empress blood essence helped it achieve its complete form. Mu Fei, the mysterious heavenly palace master, murmured softly from the giant ship of flowing clouds. However, Mu Fei's emotions did not change much. He still looked at the main battlefield in the sky above Heavenly Dao City with a solemn expression. Why does this feel so bad? In the sky above Heavenly Dao City, the Reincarnation Emperor was fighting against 4 emperors. The Reincarnation Emperor, who wielded the Heavenly Calamity Sword, was not at a disadvantage against the combined attacks of the Star Emperor, the 9 Underworlds Emperor, the Devouring Emperor, and the Desolate Emperor. No matter how fast the 4 emperors attacked, they could not gain the upper hand. On the other side, the battle between the Monster Emperor Qi Kong and the Reincarnation Saint clans, Corpse God, was still undecided. Although the Monster Emperor Qi Kong clearly had the upper hand, as the boss of the 10 Heart Beasts, the Corpse God was undeniably terrifying. The Sky-Scorching Emperor and the Desolate Emperor were still fighting. However, the Burning Heaven Emperor was injured by the joint attack of the Chaos Emperor and the Heart Beast, the Lightning Grandmaster, so Bai Qianyu and Mo Qingli had no choice but to help. Humph, all of you must die. At the same time, the Dragonblood Emperor, who had been struck down by the Desolate Emperor, suddenly opened his ferocious eyes in the rubble of a collapsed mountain ridge. The huge ancient dragon's body moved slowly. It shook off the rubble on its body with its wings and spewed out scorching dragon breath like lava. The situation was getting more and more difficult to control, and the Sacred Race Alliance's situation was getting worse. We can't drag this any longer, the Devouring Emperor said with a frown. The Star Emperor, the Desolate Emperor, and the Abyss Emperor's expressions also changed. They knew that the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. However, they could not find any opportunity. Are you getting anxious? The Reincarnation Emperor's indifferent voice traveled into everyone's ears. He looked up and said calmly, "But I haven't started getting serious yet. Haven't started getting serious yet." Hearing this, everyone was enraged. Whoosh, as soon as he finished speaking, a piercingly cold roar suddenly swept across the sky. Created with ice, formed with wind and snow. Freeze the world. Everyone was shocked. Ice Empress Qingxue, who had been with the lesser ancient ape demon a second ago, had entered the main battlefield above Tiandao City. Overwhelming frost quickly eroded the sky and earth. The inside and outside of Tiandao City were quickly covered with a thick layer of ice crystals. What was even more shocking was that an illusory demoness that looked like an ice spirit appeared in the sky above the Reincarnation Emperor. The demoness spread her arms and millions of snowflakes drifted down. The sky was filled with snowflakes. In an instant, the space where the Reincarnation Emperor was seemed to have been frozen. The air around him had completely stopped moving. Looking from afar, the Reincarnation Emperor seemed to be enveloped by a layer of transparent ice cage. The space has been frozen. Chance. Seeing this, the 4 great emperors' eyes lit up. We don't have much time. Hurry up, the Ice Empress said coldly. The Desolate Emperor and the Devouring Emperor looked at each other as they understood what the other meant. Swoosh. Swoosh. The Desolate Emperor and the Devouring Emperor moved to the left and right of the Reincarnation Emperor like swallows flying on 2 paths. Desolate. Devour. The 2 of them shouted in a stern voice. Startling convergence. Boom! Bang! Accompanied by the tsunami-like wind and rain, the desolate emperor and the devouring emperor put their palms together, and the earth-shattering bloodline power rushed into the sky. A gray sandstorm pillar and a black tornado pillar were like two giant dragons that could tear the sky apart as they gathered towards the reincarnation emperor. The sky changed color rapidly. For example, a myriad of wind and thunder swept across the sky. The chaotic world whirlwind, which was formed by the power of desolation and the power of devouring, was like two giant nebula millstones that covered the sky. The space around the reincarnation emperor was crushed. The power of desolation weakened the opponent's defense. The power of devouring frantically plundered the opponent's true origin energy. Under the impact of the two powerful saint physiques, the reincarnation emperor's aura was obviously suppressed. At the same time, the attacks of the Star Emperor and the Abyss Emperor that had been accumulating power descended. Star Soul Divine Blade. Swoosh, swoosh. Above the 9 heavens, thousands of brilliant meteors rained down like a rain of light. Accompanied by the sound of air waves being cut apart, a sharp giant blade rushed out from the center of the endless light beams. It was like the gathering of the essence of billions of star souls in the vast universe. Wherever the giant blade went, the shattered space crumbled inch by inch like crystal chip. Limitless demon eye. Buzz buzz. The Abyss Emperor shone like a bright moon. A hellish demon eye that emitted a deep and cold aura suddenly appeared in the sky behind her. Along with the strong rhythm of the power, the opened limitless demon eye exploded with white frost that was like a cold moon. Swoosh! With a piercingly cold trembling sound, a cold white condensed light beam shot out from the demon eye. The terrifying light beam contained an extremely cold, destructive, and murderous aura, as though it was formed by the convergence of death rays that shuttled through the vast Milky Way. Wherever it passed, the void was torn apart. It originated from the combined attack of the Ice Emperor, the Devouring Emperor, the Desolate Emperor, the Star Emperor, and the Abyss Emperor. It was enough to melt everything. The destructive storm flowed into the reincarnation emperor's position wantonly. The sky cracked. The universe lost its color. At this moment, everyone in the room narrowed their eyes. Their tense faces were trembling as well. Boom! Bang! An unprecedented destructive power instantly exploded in the sky above Tiandao City. The strongest attacks from the 5 great emperors were all unleashed in one place and fused together. In an instant, it was as if a dazzling giant lotus had bloomed between the heavens and the earth. The ring-shaped wind swept out vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. The void in all directions seemed to have been torn apart by a sharp giant blade. Boom! The Tiandao city below sunk. The aftermath of the fierce wind swept out, and countless buildings in the city were instantly turned into dust. What a terrifying power! Everyone's eyes were wide open. The reincarnation emperor can even withstand this? I really can't believe it. Absolutely impossible, unless he has really reached the level of a celestial emperor. Clang! Without giving anyone any time to calm down, a powerful astral wave suddenly exploded in the middle of the storm of destructive energy. Everyone's pupils constricted slightly at the same time. Swish, swish, swish. In the next moment, a huge curtain of black shadow wings flew out from within. Tiandao, Battle Soul Return. The reincarnation emperor's aura overlapped and reverberated, shaking everyone's soul. At this moment, even the evil god's ink-black eyes were rippling. The huge black shadow wings were like a staggered waterfall, circling the sky and swam in all directions. They swept up a monstrous power and attacked Ice Emperor, Huang Emperor, and the rest. The 5 emperors' expressions changed. Before they could react, the black shadows had already rushed in front of them. Bang, 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 a series of dull explosions overlapped with each other. Every black shadow exploded with a terrifying power. The condensed light rings scattered in the sky, and the huge impact force was comparable to the divine power of meteorites. The 5 emperors who were caught off guard were sent flying by the huge force. Then, the 5 emperors landed on the ground one after another. The blood in their bodies rose and there were traces of fresh blood at the corner of their mouth. This is? The 5 of them turned pale. On the other side, sky-scorching emperor, demon monarch Qi Kong, Mu Fei, Yen Fushu, and the others were also filled with great astonishment. That is? Waves of air, frost, and dust filled the sky. The ice-cold frost seeped into their bones. Everyone stared at the series of black shadow wings that filled the sky solemnly. Then, the black shadow wings returned to where they came from and landed on both sides of the reincarnation emperor's back. Buzz, there were still no obvious injuries. He still had that calm and composed expression on his face. However, the reincarnation emperor's aura had weakened greatly. It was obvious that the joint attack of the 5 emperors did not affect him at all. The black shadow wings on both sides of the reincarnation emperor gradually turned into human shapes in front of everyone's eyes. Looking at the slightly illusory figures, the great emperors could not help but tremble. These battle souls they are. Star Emperor clenched his fists and frowned. The facial features of the illusory figures slowly appeared. Even though it was a little blurry, the general appearance could still be seen clearly. One of them had a pair of golden eyes. He was extraordinarily handsome and gentle. "By Emperor, by!" The devouring emperor's voice was trembling. There was another person with purple light flowing in the depths of his eyes. His eyebrows were long and he looked extremely domineering. Emperor Demon Eye, there was another person who was burly and had prominent facial features. He had a dignified aura. That, could it be, Great Emperor Zheohua? Whoosh! Countless exclamations of shock were like a rising tide, crashing into everyone's soul. At that moment, everyone looked at the reincarnation emperor with intense anger and endless hatred. You refine them into battle souls? The Desolation Emperor's eyes were wide open as he cracked his knuckles, looking at the illusory figures standing beside the reincarnation emperor. Everyone felt an indescribable suffocation in their hearts. Battle souls. Heaven Way. The power of the reincarnation Heaven Way could allow the remnant soul of an expert to remain after he died and retain most of his power. As the saying went, the one who controlled the Heaven Way broke free from the 6 paths and controlled reincarnation. The reincarnation emperor was like a king who ruled over the world and looked down on everyone. I have already gone through 9 reincarnation tribulations. The Heaven Way is under my control. The Heaven Way is under my control. Everyone felt as though their hearts had been hammered by a heavy hammer. Unforgivable, you are really unforgivable. Universe God Guji, you deserve to die. The Abyss Emperor's voice was trembling. She looked at the battle soul of Emperor Bai sadly. However, the latter's eyes were empty and expressionless. Bai Qianyu, who was standing on the other side, had a complicated expression. After so many years, she had finally seen her father again, but in such a suffocating situation. The eyes of the Demon Eye Clan's people were bloodshot as they gritted their teeth in hatred. Universe God Guji, you are a piece of trash. You are not a human. What's the difference between you and a demon? The reincarnation emperor did not care about the crowd's angry rebuke. The anger of the weak only exists in words. Today, no one can stop me from taking over the Heaven Way, Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, the 9 heavens storm gathered. Behind the reincarnation emperor, other than the White Emperor, the Demonic Eye Emperor, the Fortune Emperor, and a few others, there was another figure that emitted black light. When the crowd saw the figure, they felt an inexplicable sense of submission. That is the Heaven Emperor's fighting soul? Kaboom! In everyone's mind, it was as if the most deafening clap of thunder had exploded. Once the fighting soul appeared, it was as dazzling as a star in the night sky. Even after 10,000 years, the Heaven Emperor's aura was still as strong as a mountain. Shock. Indescribable shock. They had never imagined that the Heaven Emperor's fighting soul would be controlled by the Reincarnation Emperor. Then, under countless gazes that were filled with fear, the Heaven Emperor's fighting soul slowly landed on the Reincarnation Emperor. Like overlapping images, the Heaven Emperor's fighting soul gradually merged with the Reincarnation Emperor's body. Heaven Way, awaken! Wow! The moment the two merged, the morning star suddenly exploded with a dazzling light like that of the divine sun. Billions of light rays pierced through the sky. A domineering aura that could control the heavens was released from the Reincarnation Emperor's body. His aura surged once again and broke through the original limit, reaching a higher level. I, Universe God Guji, am the strongest. His cold eyes, one gold and one purple, were holy and demonic at the same time. Universe God Guji's gaze directly pierced through the heavens as he looked at the God-forbidden blood prison master, the evil god. I, the Reincarnation Emperor, am the Heaven Way. Chapter 1733. I, Universe God Guji, am the strongest. I, the Reincarnation Emperor, am the Heavenly Way. Rumble. The Reincarnation Emperor exuded an extraordinary aura that looked down upon the heavens. Under countless shocked gazes, the Heavenly Emperor's fighting soul merged with the Reincarnation Emperor's body like a phantom. In that instant, the other party's aura pierced through the 9 heavens and tore through the wind and clouds. The pair of demonic and holy eyes stared directly at the God-forbidden blood prison's master, the evil god. Everyone trembled in fear. Everyone was astonished. Everyone looked at the Samsara Emperor with an indescribable fear in their eyes. Fear. Absolute fear. This person. He was too terrifying. If the White Emperor, the Demonic Eye Emperor, and the Fortune Emperor had all become battle souls under the control of the Reincarnation Sage Body's Heavenly Way power, then when they saw that the Celestial Emperor's battle soul was still under his control, they were only left with fear. Looking at Universe God Guji, who had merged with the Celestial Emperor's battle soul and whose aura was like a tsunami, everyone felt a deep sense of helplessness. The arms of Xing Chen, Devour, Nine Nether, and the desolate Emperor trembled uneasily. This person was too ruthless. No wonder the Reincarnation Emperor could use the power of the Divine Eye and Demonic Eye so perfectly. It turned out that even the Celestial Emperor had become his battle soul. The power of the Celestial Emperor and the Chaotic Bloodline. Using the compatibility of the Chaotic Bloodline, he could use the White Emperor and the Demonic Eye Emperor's eye technique. Everyone who knew the truth felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. I, the Reincarnation Emperor, am the Heavenly Way. Universe God Guji's aura was like overlapping ancient bells, reverberating between the heavens and the earth and seeping into everyone's soul. At this moment, facing the towering evil god, Universe God Guji's aura was even greater. The two were like the sun and moon at the two ends of the night and day. Everything in the world dimmed, and the entire battlefield of the Heavenly Way world was reduced to a background for the two of them. Receiving the Reincarnation Emperor's piercing gaze, the evil god's abyss-like black pupils rippled like a pool of ink. He smiled. Hee, you really didn't disappoint me. Universe God Guji is still Universe God Guji. You're much more ruthless than the Celestial Emperor of the past. I'll let you witness my true ruling power with your own eyes. How about that? The Reincarnation Emperor replied in a deep voice. Ha 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 ha. The evil god laughed wantonly. His arrogant laughter was like a tsunami that broke through a dam, destroying everyone's mental defenses. Lost. The Great Star Emperor, Great Devouring Emperor, Abysmal Emperor and the others exchanged glances and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. How powerless! The Reincarnation Emperor alone had the power to rule over the entire human race. Not to mention, there was an evil god. Although it was still unclear where the Samsara Emperor and the evil god stood, the Sacred Clan Alliance had already been defeated. The human race is finished. Mu Fei, the palace master of the Heavenly Mysteries Palace, closed her eyes. Her desolate look was heart-wrenching. Without a doubt, The defeat on the main battlefield brought an immense sense of defeat to the Sacred Race Alliance. Everyone's mentality was gradually collapsing. He, the Heart Beast Corpse God, who was previously suppressed by Demon Emperor Qi Kong, suddenly turned the tables. Along with a sharp and strange howl, the Corpse God's huge bony palm exploded with thousands of sharp bone spikes. The sharp bone spikes were densely arranged together. Like a bamboo joint that extended infinitely, it set off a terrifying impact force towards Demon Emperor Qi Kong. Bone-piercing hell. The hoarse and shrill roar sounded like it came from the abyss. Demon Emperor Qi Kong, who had transformed into his true form, was shocked. Before he could react, the countless bone spikes that were squeezed together bombarded his body like a bridge of the great Tao. Boom! A dull explosion shook the heavens. The terrifying power was like a heavenly pillar that pierced through the heavens. Demon Emperor Qi Kong was smashed into a mountain ridge below. Rocks crumbled, mountains broke, and mountains crumbled. One after another, the mountains collapsed and caved in. Bang! At the same time, a scorching storm rose on the battlefield where Burning Heaven Emperor and Chaos Emperor were. Along with the all-encompassing flames that exploded in all directions, Burning Heaven Emperor, who was originally at the bottom, was directly sent flying by the explosion of the Chaos Force. The space distorted and cracked inch by inch. The Wilderness Heavenly Emperor sneered coldly. "Your graves have been dug for you. Struggling is useless." The Burning Heaven Great Emperor felt as if he had been hit by a meteor. Blood spurted from his mouth, and he crashed into the mountain wall below, causing the entire mountain to explode into smithereens. The Burning Heaven Martial Monarch covered his chest with one hand. His eyes were red with rage, and his stomach was filled with rage. However, blood was still flowing out from the gaps between his fingers. As soon as Burning Heaven Emperor was defeated, by Qianyu and Emoqingli, who were also fighting Chaos Emperor on the battlefield, suddenly looked extremely weak. Roar! Before the Chaos Heavenly Emperor could attack the two women, an ancient dragon soared into the sky from the rubble. "Today, you ants who overestimate yourselves will all die." The majestic chi of 9 dragons furiously shook the mountains and rivers, soaring straight up. Everyone's expression changed again and again. The blow they suffered in their hearts became more and more intense. Even the Dragonblood Emperor had recovered. The situation on the Sacred Race Alliance's side was really going to blow up. Roar! They didn't even have time to smile bitterly. The Dragonblood Emperor in the form of an ancient dragon flapped its wings, stirring up a violent whirlwind. It set off an earth-shattering ferocious might, directly pouncing on Mu Fei, Yan Fushu, Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the others who were defending the flowing cloud giant Arkansas. "All of you, lie in your graves. The time to feel despair is coming." Despair? These two words were like a sharp sword that pierced through the soul of everyone present. At this moment, a horde of demons howled and flames danced wildly. The Dragonblood Emperor's aura exploded once again, directly crossing the sky above Tiandao City. The vast and ferocious aura covered the sky like a mountain, and dark clouds hid the sky. Horror, fear, and deep despair crazily occupied the hearts of Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, Li Wushang, and the others. Under the encirclement of tens of thousands of ferocious demons, the Dragonblood Emperor rapidly pressed down. At this moment it was like the end of the world. Mu Fei had already closed her eyes in despair. Xing Chen, Nine Nether, the Devouring Emperor, and the others could only shake their heads and smile bitterly. They didn't even have the intention to stop it. It was all over. This battle. They had lost. Even though they had successfully broken through the Heavenly Tao World's defensive line and occupied the Samsara Saint Clan's home ground, they had still lost. Ha 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 ha. The Samsara Emperor laughed wildly. "Your current expressions are exactly what I wanted to see. You have nothing but weakness. From today onwards, I am the ruler of the human race. I am the heavens." Roar! The Dragonblood Emperor roared. Heavenly Tao, I am willing to serve you with that. The boundless destructive power of the dragon soul surged towards Mu Fei, Yen Fushu, Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the others on the flowing cloud giant Arkansas. Everyone felt as if they had sunk into a storm, and the powerful dragon's breath was like lava flowing down. Boom! Bang! One after another, the giant flowing cloud giant arc was pierced by the dragon breath, breaking into two. Many of the heavenly mystery palace's runmasters died on the spot. Violent shockwaves rippled through the air as rings of dark red light tore through the sky. Long Qingyang, Yen Fushu, Yi Yao, and the others were all sent flying, their blood flowing in reverse. A massacre was imminent. Destruction was rampant, especially when countless ferocious demons were charging in from all directions. The experts of the Heavenly Mystery Palace, Mount Kunliu, Martial League, 9 Underworlds, Star Cosmos, Wasteland and other races were either melted by the primordial dragon's dragon breath or bitten by the ferocious hybrid devils. Despair. Another level up. Even though everyone's eyes were bloodshot, they were powerless. Suddenly, at this moment, the winds and clouds in the 9 heavens split apart, and the void in the high heavens shook the world and collapsed. Boom! There was a deafening sound, and an unprecedented storm swept through the natural law world all of a sudden. Clang! Lightning pierced through the sky, and the electric net was like a dragon. Everyone was shocked. What was going on? Before the crowd could react, a majestic gust of wind and rain enveloped the entire sky, gathering together with the storm that seemed like the end of the world. Countless violent thunderbolts tore through the sky like intersecting vines, then struck the body of the ancient dragon that the Dragonblood Emperor had transformed into. Rumble, in an instant, the gorgeous lightning pillar bloomed like a flower on the ancient dragon's body. The lightning pillar pierced through the ancient dragon's body, and blood and scales splattered everywhere. The Dragonblood Emperor let out an angry roar, then fell powerlessly from the void. Bang! He smashed into the heavenly Tao city below, crushing countless broken walls. The sudden change of events shocked everyone present. The evil god's pitch-black eyes were filled with surprise. Looks like I made it in time. At the same time, the Reincarnation Emperor's golden and purple eyes glowed with a faint cold light. This aura? The Star Emperor, 9 Nether Emperor, Huang Emperor, and the Devouring Emperor all had complicated expressions. The sky above the heavenly Tao city completely collapsed. Countless wind-thunder tribulations were like terrifying dragon pythons shuttling through the clouds, or like divine vines that covered the sky, overflowing with a dazzling and mysterious light. The wind pillars that surrounded the sky formed a ring-shaped light vortex that sliced through the lightning. Any ferocious demon that came into contact with that area was instantly torn into pieces. Buzz, amidst the heavenly tribulations intertwining vine-shaped wind pillars, an arrogant figure broke through the void and arrived. Calling yourself the heavenly Tao, you are not worthy. Chapter 1734. You don't deserve to call yourself the heavenly Tao. Boom! Wind and thunder covered the 9th heaven. The terrifying lightning that seemed to be flowing through the clouds came crashing down like an immortal vine dragon python that blotted out the sky. Within the ring-shaped pillar, a young figure, like an extraordinary god of war, broke through the void and arrived. The world suddenly changed color. When they saw that familiar young figure, everyone in the heavenly law city widened their eyes in disbelief. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes seemed to be filled with a drop of ink, and the rims of her eyes turned red. Long Qingyang, Mo Qingli, Yi Yao, Li Wushang, and the others also widened their eyes. Their faces, stained with blood, were filled with uncontrollable shock and excitement. Big Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao couldn't help calling out in surprise and joy. Chu Hen. Surprise, shock, and disbelief. Not long ago, everyone watched as Chu Hen disappeared from the heavenly law world's battlefield. They never thought that he would return with the power of lightning. Lightning tore through the sky, and the pillar of wind split the sky. The aura that originated from Chu Hen's body caused everyone's hearts to feel an indescribable pressure. What a familiar aura! The Star Emperor clenched his fists, his expression tense. The Desolation Emperor, the Devouring Emperor, the Abyss Emperor, and the others were also surprised. The power of the bloodline boundary is very similar to that man. At this moment, the Reincarnation Emperor, Yushin Guji, and the evil god's expressions changed. Speaking of which, it's really nostalgic. The evil god smiled indifferently. You bastard, you're not dead yet? The primeval Desolation Monarch was surprised. Compared to the other monarchs, his hatred for Chu Hen was much stronger. Without another word, the Antiquity Emperor charged at Chu Hen with a monstrous momentum. Antiquity Jade, the other party roared. As he moved, the terrifying power of Antiquity condensed into 16 spherical energy bodies in the void. Each primal Desolation Jade contained an enormous amount of destructive energy. Space distorted and trembled, following which, a cold light shot out from the Primordial Emperor's eyes. Along with an even more powerful aura, the 16 Primordial Jades split into 32 pieces. Disappear for this Emperor. Looking at Chu Hen, who died and came back to life. Perhaps it was anger. Perhaps it was hatred. Or perhaps it was because he felt uneasy. The killing intent released by the Chaos Heavenly Emperor was simply too strong. Boom! With the momentum of 10,000 galloping horses, the 32 great desolate Jades were like meteors returning to the sky, dragging along scorching red flames as they whizzed towards Chu Hen's location. The massive attack was about to shatter the Heavenly River. This attack of the primordial chaos Heavenly Emperor was fiercer than any of his previous attacks. However, in the face of the Antiquity Emperor's killing move, Chu Hen, who stood above the ninth heaven, did not panic at all. Buzz, along with a strong spatial rhythm, Chu Hen stretched his arm outwards. Following that, black Tao patterns that flickered with a mysterious light flowed out from his palm. The mysterious and ancient Tao patterns spread out and gathered at the center of his palm, forming a powerful and piercingly cold black whirlpool. In the blink of an eye, a high-speed flying wheel suddenly condensed in his palm. However, what was different from the move Chu Hen had released before was that this black spinning wheel was connected to the surrounding thunder and lightning. Great Tao, Chu Hen spat out a few words in a low voice. The rapid and sharp roar of the wind tore through the air, and the black spinning wheel exploded downwards. As it moved, the size of the black whirlpool rapidly expanded. It was like a nebula vortex that came from the primal chaos universe. Strong and violent lightning interweaved above and below the spinning wheel of light. From afar, the scene was spectacular, like a huge disk surrounded by lightning. Rumble, a heavy and violent aura of destruction cut through the sky. The black whirlpool of lightning was like a world-destroying wind blade, cutting the Antiquity Jade into pieces. The Antiquity Jade, meteorite, which contained a huge amount of antiquity power, was actually as fragile as tofu. The black whirlpool of light pierced through it. The breathtaking scene was reflected in the depths of everyone's eyes. Crimson thunderstorms exploded one after another in the void. The Antiquity Emperor's pupils rapidly shrank. Without any time to react, the black whirlpool of light that pierced through the heavenly river directly rushed in front of him. Boom! The incomparable impact was like a world-destroying light shuttle that firmly struck the Antiquity Emperor's body. The latter's face was instantly filled with unprecedented shock and fear. "Ah!" he screamed miserably. The whirlpool of light cut open his chest. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and broken bones burst out. Dazzling lightning burst forth from his body. Then, with an earth-shattering explosion, an ultimate storm comparable to the explosion of a star swept out in the sky above Tiandao City. Tiandao City, which was already riddled with holes, was once again washed over by the raging waves of the tsunami. The aftermath of the destruction of everything surged in all directions. The earth deeply caved in. Everyone's heart deeply trembled. A scene that they didn't even dare to dream of was embedded in the depths of everyone's mind. The Antiquity Emperor, who was majestic like a god of war just a second ago, was now covered in blood, falling from the sky. Wah! Large mouthfuls of blood continuously spurted out from his mouth, forming a bloody rain under the powerful airflow. A long and narrow line of blood extended from his shoulder to the left side of his abdomen. His internal bones and organs were all cut open. Fear. The Antiquity Emperor's face was covered in blood. Bang! The moment the other party fell to the ground, everyone's heart also twitched. Just now it was the Dragon Blood Emperor. Now it was the Antiquity Emperor. One after the other, in a short period of time, Chu Hen, who had consecutively defeated two great emperors, had actually returned in an earth-shattering manner. The successive shocking scenes that appeared caused countless people's minds to fall into a blank. The young figure that stood proudly in the sky above Tiandao City exuded the peerless domineering aura of competing with the Reincarnation Emperor and the Evil God. This is... The great emperors all clenched their fists, their pupils trembling. Star Monarch gritted his teeth. His throat moved slightly, and then, he spat out a few words: Chaos, Divine Body. Quang-dang. It was like a thunderbolt piercing through the eardrums. Those 4 words were like a stone storm that swept through the Six Paths world. It was not the Chaos Body, but the Chaos Divine Body. At this moment, Yen Fushu, Yen Yuan, and the others of the Chaos race were all in disbelief. At this time, Chu Hen's cold and deep eyes directly glanced at the Reincarnation Emperor, Yu Shinguji. Let me see, how strong is your heavenly Tao? Li. The instant his voice fell, Chu Hen's eyes lifted. Along with the rapid trembling of the air wave, his deep and gloomy eyes immediately transformed into a bewitching and demonic purple pupil. Countless purple stars and black flashes of light exploded and blossomed behind Chu Hen. In the Tiandao city below, cracks appeared inch by inch, and one after another, sharp light pillars pierced through the ground and tore apart the sky. Provocation! Pressure! Chu Hen shouted at the Reincarnation Emperor. One was the strongest ruler of the 10 saint clans. The other was the divine body that had returned after 10,000 years of silence. The invisible auras collided in the heaven and earth, and in an instant the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The 2 tsunami-like auras caused the Six Paths world to tremble. The Reincarnation Emperor lifted his cold eyes and a cold glint flashed across his golden and purple pupils. It really is a feeling that I haven't felt for a long time. Finally, there is someone that can make me, Yu Shinguji, look him in the eye. The Heaven Calamity Sword, number 1 on the God Weapon board, shone with a terrifying white light. The Reincarnation Emperor's lips curled up into a cold and arrogant smile. My heavenly Tao is unshakable. As soon as he finished speaking, the few battle souls hovering around the Reincarnation Emperor unleashed a strong power rhythm. Damn it! The Great Star Emperor cursed. To Chu Hen, Monarch Bai and Great Monarch Zhaohua were his seniors, and even Great Monarch Zhaohua was indebted to Chu Hen. Even though they were battle souls, they were enough to affect Chu Hen's mentality. The Monarch-level battle souls of Monarch Bai, Monarch Monster Eye, Great Monarch Zhaohua, and the others were like immortal spirits. They unleashed their auras and pressed down on Chu Hen. Just when Xing Chen, Nine Nether, and the other Monarch-level battle souls were about to help, Chu Hen's face was filled with disdain. Humph, you said that it is unshakable, then today, I will overthrow your heavenly Tao. As he finished speaking, Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. Following that, he lifted his palm and a powerful black flame appeared. Hua! A vast wave of air spread out, and behind Chu Hen, several black shadows shockingly appeared. From afar, the silhouettes and figures of the black shadows were exactly the same as Chu Hen, as if they were clones from the darkness, mysterious and powerful.